Welcome back. Let's continue reviewing all of the commons and uncommons for Tarkir Dragonstorm. We're going to cover all of the monocolored ones today. How do these cards look for limited? Are these going to be good in your upcoming pre-release, sealed, and draft? Before we dive in though, I forgot a couple of the black green cards, so we got to cover those real quick. Then we'll dive into the monocolored cards. Let's not waste any more time. We're going to do the A through F grading scale. A's are your bombs. B's are the cards that you are excited to put in your deck, and you feel you're usually excited when you draw them. They're going to actively pull you in that color. C's are cards that are going to make up the bulk of most decks. You're going to be happy to put these cards in your deck, but you're not going to be over the moon excited about them. They're usually kind of interchangeable, replaceable, but you need them in every deck. D's are cards that you're mostly going to avoid, and F's are big old stinkers. They're trap cards, don't play them. Let's dive in. So Disruptive Storm Brood. This is a 5-drop, so 4 and a green. Dragon 3/3, so undersized for its cost. Let's see what it does. Flying. When this creature enters, destroy up to one target artifact or enchantment. Okay, yeah, that's obviously great. So you can 2 for 1 and get a nice advantage there. That's a solid effect, as if there, especially if there are a lot of artifacts and enchantments. We'll see. We know there's a cycle of artifacts for your mana fixing ones that then can be cashed in later. So we know there's going to be at least those. If those are going to be good and see a lot of play, then that kind of guarantees you a target. So if there's a decent number of artifacts or enchantments, you're going to be happy to put this card in your deck as a C plus, B card. Always happy to buy this to do this, and decently costed. 5 mana for a 3/3 flyer that destroys an artifact or enchantment. Happy for that. Petty Revenge, 1 and black sorcery. Destroy target creature with power 3 or less. Okay, so kill something small. Again, a good card for only 2 mana. You're going to get even with mana. Maybe trade up a mana if you're hitting their 3-drop. That's going to be good too. Also C plus. The fact that both of these are on the same card. The fact that between the two of them, you kind of do everything. You can target the creatures, or you can get artifacts or enchantments. Very flexible card. Overall, I'm going to say this is probably B minus maybe. Like, I think I'm going to be happy to put these in most decks, especially if it proves that there's a decent number of artifacts and enchantments. So that way the front half is good. The body half of this card is good. Other than that, going to be happy to put Petty Revenge in most decks at a C plus level. So putting those both on one card, happy about that. Moving on to the next green-black card, we have Stalwart Successor, 1 black-green, Human Warrior 3/2. So a little small body, but it has menace, so nice little evasion there. When 1 or more counters are put onto a creature you control, if it's the first time counters have been put on it this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. Okay, great. So by itself, a 3 power 3-drop with menace, it helps so that way, it only has the 2 body, but the 2 toughness body. But then by itself, this is a great target for its own ability. The 1/1/1 counter makes this thing a 5/4 menace. So this seems great. We've already seen a decent number of counter effects, not just +1/+1 counters, but all types of flying and lifelink counters, keyword counters. Overall, this card looks good. I think I'm going to be happy to put this in my deck to get all that extra synergy with all the +1/+1 counters floating around. I'm going to put this, and what's nice is this is an early drop, so you put it on early before you start playing all the cards that start disrupting counters or the mana sinks in the late game of exiling the cards from your graveyard. Renew, right? I think it's called the Teamer or the Soul Tie mechanic. So this is already in place once you start doing that stuff later. I like that. I'm going to say B minus. Host of the Hereafter. It's a cool name. Cool art. I was just at the zoo today, so seeing all these animals, that's fun. 2 black-green zombie warlock, 2/2. This creature enters with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Okay, so it's really a 4/4. Whenever this creature or another creature you control dies, if it had counters on it, put its counters on up to 1 target creature you control. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this is a value train. I mean, this is what we're talking about. When we talk about there being good value with +1/+1 counters or good synergy, this is what you want to see. First of all, the fact that it just does it by itself. Like, it's a 4 mana 4/4, they kill it just to not have to deal with it because it's this creature or other creatures. And they oh man, there's going to be a bunch of stuff going on. I can't afford to whatever. This is a lightning rod. They have to kill this creature, I think, because they can't be trading in combat with all your other creatures if you're going to have surviving counters. And it's not even just +1/+1 counters. The other counters stay on it too. So let's say you give a 3/3, a +1/+1 counter and a flying counter. So now it's a 4/4 flyer. It fights and beats their dragon, and then what? You do it again and give your another 3/3 a +1/+1 flying. Like they can't keep doing that. So this thing they have to kill, and then even by itself, you're gonna leave 2 power, 2 +1/+1 counters to go somewhere else. So this card looks excellent. This card looks like a strong B plus. I think this card looks really good. Okay, now we're getting into the mono color. So we're going to start with white, and we're going to go up the mana curve here. So Descendant of Storms, 1 white, just a white. So it's a 1-drop, Human Soldier uncommon, 2/1. Whenever this creature attacks, you may pay 1 and a white. If you do, it endures 1. Okay, interesting. So obviously, you know, the dreams, you play this on turn 1 on the play, they just play a tap land, and you attack for 2, you pay your 2 mana because you don't have a 2-drop, and you either hit them for 3, as this is now a 3/2, or you get a 1/1, so you can go wide or tall with the ender mechanic. That looks pretty good. I mean, even just doing this once, like, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of expensive to pay 2 mana for that, but in a more aggro deck like this, that looks pretty good. To be able to start just attacking, pumping, especially if you can never do it for free when, like, they, for whatever reason, like I said, they don't have a blocker. So obviously the first most obvious one is it's early in the game, they don't have a blocker yet, or for whatever reason later they attack, and like this makes it difficult for them to consider what's the counters, the swing, you know, what's the, when they swing back at me, if they're considering an all-out attack, like having this guy attack me is a pain. So I think this card looks pretty good. I'm going to say C+. I'm maybe a little optimistic about it. Looks better than average. Good 1-drop. And we'll see how important 1-drops are in the format. Mardu Devotee, white, Human Scout, 1/2. When this creature enters, scry 2. Okay, so excellent card selection. And then it's the filter card. So there's a whole cycle of these. This is the Mardu filter. So you pay 1 generic, and you can get a white, red, or black, activate once each turn. These look to me like a necessary evil. Like, yeah, the card selection is obviously good to scry 2, but you're also just getting a 1/2. Notably, the 2 toughness is going to be important with the all the tokens running around. The fact that it blocks the tokens that people are getting from Mobilize, that's definitely important. This more seems like a notable, or like a necessary evil. That being said, Mardu, you don't want to play tap lands, and you do want to have a bunch of early 1-drops. So maybe this card's actually secretly better than you first think about it. Like, thinking more about it, I think this card actually might be okay, because it does give you that card selection, gives you that early body, then also fixes your mana for if you're like a white-black deck or a white-red deck, and then you need to splash the other color. Being able to do so without having to play tap lands because you're playing an aggro deck, maybe this is better than I think. But overall, like, my instinct is to say this is like a C-, necessary evil, but maybe it's a C. Bear of Glory, 1 and white. Human Soldier, so it's a 2/1, 2/1. During your turn, this creature has first strike. Okay, so difficult to block. And then you can pay 4 and a white to pump all your creatures +1/+1. Notably, you can do that at instant speed, so you can pump all your tokens as well if you're attacking with a bunch of mobilized things. And this guy attacks well. I think this looks very good. Again, in an aggressive style deck, I'm going to see this as being a solid C+. You're going to want a good number of these in any deck, a good aggressive 2-drops that are good at attacking with that first strike. Next card, Coordinated Maneuver, 1 and white, instant, choose 1. It deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature or planeswalker, or destroy target enchantment. Okay, a solid removal spell. Especially the fact that, again, it's instant speed, so it's going to work with Mobilize. You let your Mobilize triggers resolve, so you get an extra 1 or 2 creatures or whatever on your attacks. And then you can deal some damage, remove a blocker, and start pushing through damage for only 2 mana. Also, notably, that could be helpful on flurry turns if you're trying to get that second effect, cast a second spell. So, I mean, yeah, I think this looks like a good removal spell. The flexibility of destroying an enchantment is a nice buyout if there end up being good enchantments. We'll see. I don't remember. My first time going through through all the spoilers, I don't remember there being a lot of enchantments. Very notable. But the front half of this looks good enough, easily kill a 2, 3, or 4-drop. So we'll say this looks like a solid C+. Duty Beyond Death, 1 and white, instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Creatures you control gain indestructible intent in turn. Put a +1/+1 on each creature you control. On each? Put a +1/+1 counter. Okay, so they all gain indestructible and get a +1/+1 counter. Well, that's pretty good. For 2 mana, pump your whole Anthem, your whole team. I mean, you have to sacrifice another creature. Obviously, as we continue to see with all these white cards, it looks like all of these are synergizing well with Mobilize. So obviously you want to sacrifice one of your tokens. You can even do it after blocks. So the token they decide to block, that's the one you sacrifice. So you're losing literally nothing if they're blocking it with a bigger creature, and then you're just pumping everything, winning combat on ones that were going to be trades because of indestructible, trading up because of that extra tough +1/+1 counter. So you're surviving combat now, and killing something bigger, right? Yeah. I think this card could be a really good finisher. Again, it's only 2 mana. This isn't like a 4 mana, Anthem effect. The fact this is 2 mana, that looks good. I'm gonna say C+. Maybe it ends up being B- territory. That this is just like, oh, this is the card that the glue of putting these decks together. You get one of these, you cast one, and that's what really allows you to just turn the tide and win. Especially since those +1/+1 counters stay. Yeah, I could see this being a B- B card. Well, I would pay attention to this card. Fortress Kingguard, 1 white, dog soldier, 1/2. When it enters, it endures 1. So it's either a 2/3 or a 1/2 with a 1/1. So good on defense. Again, that extra power of toughness is always notable. If you're going against a go wide deck, maybe you just say, hey, I want the 1/2 and a 1/1, so I can just sacrifice my 1/1 at some point and block it, and have the 1/2 that's constantly blocking tokens for the rest of the game, constantly blocking mobilized tokens. Overall, it's just a 2/3, right, with some flexibility. But again, we see synergy with those +1/+1 counters, so definitely better than a 2/3. Plus, if you decide to make 2 bodies, this card looks good for a 2-drop on defense. I'm going to say, or on offense, I guess, right? When you're pumping and going wide, and then you're antheming your team, so you get an extra body to anthem. So I'll say this looks like a solid C. Looks good. Furious Forbear, 1 white, Spirit Warrior, uncommon, 3/1. Whenever a creature you control dies while this card is in your graveyard, you may pay 1 and white. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, so the classic 3/1 2-drop that you can end up buying back later. That looks good. I think that looks good. Yeah, C+. That looks great. Good aggressive creature. Right, attacks well, 3 power. The thing is that I'm nervous about is 1 toughness with all the tokens running around, since this is a major token set with Mobilize, but this is a creature that wants to be attacking, so it's not necessarily it doesn't matter since it doesn't block well. You don't want to be blocking with this creature anyway. So yeah, I think this looks like a C+. Oh, there's Theo giving a big dramatic sigh. Lightfoot Technique, 1 white. Put a +1/+1 counter instant. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It gains flying and indestructible until end of turn. Okay, so a great combat trick. Combat tricks, obviously you want to be 1 mana. When you see them at 2 mana, you hope that they do some good things. The fact that you can ambush a dragon with this looks really good. That it gets flying and then indestructible, so it's good, and then it keeps a +1/+1 counter around afterwards. I think that looks pretty good. It reminds me of Snakeskin Veil. Right, that one gains hexproof and +1/+1 counter for 1 mana, which is just nuts. The fact that this gets flying and indestructible, which isn't necessarily as good as hexproof, but yeah, I think this looks like a good combat trick. C+. C, yeah. Osseous Exhale. Okay, so there is a cycle of common removal spells that the exhales that are, first of all, great theme. I love this from a theme perspective that they have the dragons exhaling and the different colors doing different things. I think that's a lot of fun flavor wise. Let's see what the card does. 1 white instant. As an additional cost to this spell, you may behold a dragon. Okay, so beholding a dragon, this is something we've seen before. First time we went to Tarkir, and now they just have a keyword for it, which is when you cast this spell, if you control a dragon or you reveal a dragon card from your hand, it does something a little extra. So Osseous Exhale deals 5 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. Okay, so for 2 mana, you're destroying anything. Pretty much, that's destroying almost anything. If a dragon was beheld, you gain 2 life. Great. Incidental life gain, always going to be happy with that, especially again with the mobilized mechanic floating around. These decks going to be aggro? I'm always looking for incidental life gain. I'm going to slam this in any white deck I'm playing. Obviously, typically you want to be able to, you're hoping, Like what you don't want to do with these types of cards, you don't want to have to let them block and then you destroy something, because they get a free block, they get a fog out of it, they get some value before you destroy their creature. The fact that it does it on attack, hits attacking is always good. 5 damage is a lot. That kills everything, and gaining 2 life. You're trading up on mana. This looks like a great early interaction that then has even more benefits in the late game of destroying something bigger. This looks fantastic. C plus, B minus. Well, C plus. I'm gonna be happy to put this in any white deck. Rebellious Strike, 1 and white, instant. Target creature gets +3/+0 until end of turn. Draw a card. Okay, so like Defiant Strike, but you get 3 power instead of 1, and you get for an extra mana. I heard someone talk about this card, and they mentioned, imagine when you are taking your real creature, someone's attacking with a mobilized card, you don't have a good block on the actual creature, so you're like, all right, whatever, I get it why they're attacking, I'm just going to block their token and take the actual attack, and next turn I can play a bigger blocker and deal with that creature. But at least I don't have to take the extra 1 point of damage from the mobilized token. And then they cast this, and they just completely blow you out, and your token, now your creature trades with their token, and they get to draw a card. Like, I mean, that's just a 2-for-1 city, right? Or a 1-for-0. Like that's insane. So I think this card is something you definitely want to be aware of, especially at common. You're going to see this card, I think, a good amount. Again, also cantrips for the flurry mechanic. If flurry works, anytime you see a cantrip, you're going to want that. It is 2 mana for the flurry, which I definitely want to see my cantrips at 1 mana for that to work. But I think this card looks good. I would be very aware of this card. It looks like a solid C plus. Storm Beacon, 1 white artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+0. Whenever equipped creature attacks, draw a card if you control 3 or more attacking creatures, and 2 to equip. Okay, that's interesting. So the fact that this is a trigger, I'm pretty sure that it's going to check upon resolution of this trigger for how many creatures are attacking. So if that's the case, then your mobilized cards, you can have that trigger resolve first, and you'll have 3 attacking creatures, and you get 1 or 2 on the house with mobilized. If that's the case, which I'm pretty sure this is how this works, that the trigger is going to go on the stack, and then it's going to check for the number of triggers upon resolution. This looks very good. It is expensive, naturally, 2 mana and then 2 to equip, so you're paying 4 total mana over the course of 1 or 2 turns in order to give +3/+0, so no benefits to your toughness, so your creature is still going to die. So if they had a block on it anyway, if they were just going to trade anyway, who cares, you got extra power. But being able to draw cards can be really good. You can keep the gas flowing on an aggro deck. My instinct is to say this is a little bit of a not that good of card, but these are the ones that just really tough to evaluate in a vacuum. Like, this is so, how is it actually going to play out? I'm going to be bearish on this and say it's probably going to be like a C plus D minus in most decks. This is just like not that good. I don't know. I mean, if it draws you 2 cards and like gives you all that extra power they have to deal with, it is kind of a headache. Like, your 1-drop all of a sudden becomes really powerful, right? So maybe it actually is kind of good in more than just like an aggro deck, because you're starting to trade up and getting value. I don't know. I'm gonna say this is like a D plus, C minus until proven otherwise, which it very well could be. Sunpearl Kirin, 1 white creature Kirin, whatever that word is, that's the creature type also. Flash, 2/1, uncommon. Flash flying. When the creature enters, return up to 1 other target non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. If it was a token, draw a card. Okay, so again, 1 toughness. I don't know. I look at this kind of like a weird combat trick, but then you tempo yourself out because you have to return it to your hand. I mean, obviously it's great with ETB things that you want to return to your hand, so maybe this kind of is like a combo. But like, I don't want to be just like, okay, in the dream scenario, this is great. They target your creature that had an ETB effect. That's a dream scenario, and you just bounce it to your hand. You have a 2/1 on the battlefield, and you get to play your creature again, get your ETB effect again. Like, that's the dream scenario. The floor on this card is a 2/1 flash flyer, which I'm not excited about at all in a world full of dragons. So I'm guessing this card is going to underperform, even though it looks like it could do some powerful things and have a high ceiling. And then I guess the floor on this card actually is a flash flying. I mean, yeah, that's the real floor. Then hopefully you can at least, bounce a token that was done, or it was going to get sacrificed at the end of the turn. It's getting blocked and going to die or whatever, and you get to draw a card. Then it becomes a little better. So I forgot about that sentence for a moment there. I'm still not that excited about this card. I'm going to say if anything good is happening, or if you have the time to be bouncing creatures with strong ETB effects, and you have like several creatures in your deck that have powerful ETB, like I think of the Abzan Dragon that distributes 3+1/+1 counters, and you have the time to do it, then sure, you're getting lots of value. So maybe I'll say C minus. I was leaning towards like I don't want to play this card D plus, but I'll say C minus. Like if you have enough synergy, maybe this thing can be good, and you're getting more than just the floor at times. If you're doing that, half the time or better, maybe it's good enough. Yeah, we'll say C minus. I'm skeptical on those types of cards. Dalkoven Pack Beast, 2 white, Ox, 0/4, Vigilance, Mobilize 3. Okay, this awesome. The fact that it has Vigilance too, so it's just like a nice wall. Good in the mirror, the aggro mirrors that you're getting some solid defenses. Uncommon, by the way. And then Mobilize 3 with all the things we've seen with sacrificing tokens or bouncing tokens, or being able to spread across multiple bodies. Like imagine that card that gives everything +1/+1. This alone creates 4 bodies. And yeah, you have to sack a token or whatever for that thing, but like for that instant. But this gives you an extra one to, even after you sack this one, you're still getting 3 bodies from this one card, plus you're pumping all your other things. So I'm high on this card. This looks like a fun, cool card. I see it having high potential and just being like very good in the mobilized decks, giving you so many bodies. I'm looking at B minus. This looks great. Poised Practitioner, 2 white human monk, common, 2/3 flurry. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature and scry 1. Okay, so by itself, 3 mana for a 2/3, terrible. If you get 1 trigger out of this, which is probably all you can expect to get. I mean, I don't think flurry is going to happen very often with that. You don't even have the plot mechanic to help this happen more. So if you get flurry to happen once, and on turn 4, notably, is like kind of when it's going to happen, right? You can play 2/2 drops, or a 2-drop in a combat trick or whatever. Then you get a 3/4 and scry 1. That's pretty good. And then if it ever becomes a 4/5 and you've scried 1 twice, like that's just phenomenal for 3 mana. So if your deck is built around flurry, I could see this being a C+. If you're C+, if your deck can't do flurry reliably, this is a D. I would not put this in my deck. Starry-Eyed Skyrider, 2 white, human scout, uncommon, 1/3, flying. Whenever this creature attacks, another target creature you control gains flying until end of turn. Attacking tokens you control have flying. Okay, so this is a way to give all your tokens evasion, and then you can even pump up whatever creature you had. So like you that attacked. So for example, if you have this and the ox, you attack, you give your ox flying. I guess, I mean, it doesn't have any power, but whatever. If they have a ground blocker and you don't want to sacrifice into a ground blocker, then that creature gains flying, and then all your other tokens gain flying as well. Depends on the dragons. Again, small flyers make me nervous. Being able to make your whole team gain flying though, and that's the part that really excites me. I mean, and especially most of the dragons are more expensive, so you put this in an early deck, or you're playing out on curve and you're interacting with your opponent, and then like turn 5 they play their dragon, and then if you can kill it and remove their dragon and then pump all of your tokens, or jump all of your tokens rather, that looks really good. So in the mobilize, this looks, and it also makes sure, gives your endure tokens flying, right? So that's also good. On offense only, notably for your endure tokens. So in non-mobilized deck, like in an Abzan deck, I mean, yeah, you can jump one of your big cards, I guess, if this also has a clear attack, but I'm not that excited about that. In a go wide deck that's aggro, I think you can see this playing a role in that, being like a C+ card, and then yeah, in a non go wide tokens deck, I don't think I'm playing this. I think this looks more like a D+, C- maybe. All right, Stormplane Detainment, 2 white enchantment. Here we go. So we're seeing some enchantments. Common. Whenever this enchantment enters, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until this enchantment leaves the battlefield. Okay, so Oblivion Ring. Or Banishing Light. Okay, so here's your enchantment. It's common. You're going to see this a lot. Here's the enchantment that we're going to be targeting with all those spells. There was the white that dealt damage to all of the number of creatures you control or destroyed enchantment. There was the green dragon we talked about that ETBs and destroys this. I mean, that's just going to be phenomenal. They Oblivion Ring one of your creatures, and then you just ETB with a 3/2 flyer and destroy it and get your creature back. Looks okay. So there's definitely a target because this card is always good, always playable. You know, a solid C card. And if there's a ton of enchantment removal, like if we see more of that, we've just talked about the 2 cards. If that's all there is in the set, then this card becomes even better. If there's a lot more of that, then it starts to become a little bit of a liability to allow the people to get their big creatures back and get ETBs recycled. But overall, I see this card and I think, yeah, solid C+. Going to put this in my deck. Tempest Hawk, 2 white, bird, 2/2, flying. When this creature deals combat damage to a player, you may search your library for a card named Tempest Hawk, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle. A deck can have any number of cards named Tempest Hawk. Okay, so a white Windrake that goes and gets you another one. We've seen this effect plenty of times before. The Cawblade. I can't think of the original one, what it was called, but usually they're on 1. We see this a lot on 2 drops that are 1/1 flyers. This being able to do this for the 3-drop 2/2 flyer is pretty good. It does have to deal combat damage before you get it, meaning it gives you an extra turn to potentially draw your second copy, which will happen some amount of the time since it gives you another draw step. Because like that's the worst, right? You put 2 or 3 of these in your deck and you draw them both, right? If you have 2 copies and you draw them both, that's like okay, great. The whole reason I put this like mediocre card in my deck was for the value of getting a second one. The fact that it has to attack and deal combat damage successfully gives you an extra turn cycle to draw that card before it gets to attack. And then if you don't have an attack, again, you just now have another, like if you don't have an attack, 1 copy of this card's not good and the second copy is not any better and you're going to potentially draw that. So, you know, I'm usually not very strong on these cards. I'm going to say C- unless proven otherwise with 2 or 3 in your deck or whatever. And you can successfully deal combat damage consistently. Arishin Sunshield, 3 white, creature, human warrior, common, 3/4, ETB, exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. Okay, that's phenomenal. 4 mana for a 3/4 is very undercosted, especially because we see so many 4 mana 4/4s in this set. But being able to exile your opponent's cards from their graveyard and the Harmonize and Renew cards, that seems very important. And then it can, for 1 white, tap target creature. Okay, so that's a nice little buyout for being an undersized body as well, especially in like best of 1 scenarios. Sideboard card, this goes up. This can be strong against the graveyard decks. And then the green blue decks, this looks great or good. And then you can tap down their biggest thing also, which is nice. So you have to spend, it's only spend 1 mana to do that. I'm going to say like sideboard against those decks, this looks very good, like C+, and then probably a C- on your average best of 1. Like 4 mana for a 3/4 that then can start tapping down something. Like you don't necessarily want your 3/4 to be tapping down other things. You want your 1/1 and your 1/2 to be tapping down other things. So kind of weird to put it on such an expensive body. Dragonback Lancer, 3 white, human soldier, common, 3/3. So 4 mana for a 3/3, flying, mobilize 1. Okay, so if you're going to have a mobilized deck, you don't want a lot of 4-drops. This looks like a great 4-drop to have. Like a 3/3 flying and then mobilize 1 with all the mobilize synergy. So this looks good, especially if you have ways like this is a bigger. I'm small on anything that's less than 4 in a 4/4 flyer in this set. It's like but the dragons are 4/4s, the dragons are 5/5s. But for 4 mana, getting a 3/3, that's beating all the 2 power cards. Again, so this is even more of a strike against all the 2/2 flyers and the 2/1 flyers. That you're going to see this common at 3/3, this common at 4-drop. Yeah, I think this card looks potentially pretty good in the mobilized decks as your top end. And so probably a C+ in those decks. Other than that, unless you're really getting value out of those tokens, that's where I'm most excited about this card. That's what makes this a good card, I think. Rally the Monastery, 3/1 instant uncommon. This spell costs 2 less to cast if you cast another spell this turn. Okay, so kind of a way to enable Flurry. It becomes a 2-drop. Choose one. Create 2 1/1 white monk creature tokens with prowess. Up to 2 target creatures you control. Get +2/+2 until end of turn. Destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. Okay, this looks very good. For 2 mana, for any of these effects is great. You get your Raise Your Alarm that actually, but those tokens have prowess. Being able to pump tokens or pump 2 cards, so 4/4, worth of value there, pumping 2 different things, +2/+2 is great, or destroying a big thing for 2 mana. This card looks great. B-. I'm happy to put this card in my deck. Teaming Dragonstorm. There's a cycle of the Dragonstorms. They're all, oh, that's right. So we talked about, are there going to be enchantments? There's a whole cycle of these Dragonstorm enchantments. So all of them are similar in that they have the name Dragonstorm. They're uncommon. They're monocolor, and then they always do something when they ATB, and then whenever you cast a dragon you control, or when a dragon you control enters, return this enchantment to your hand. So that's why being able to destroy enchantments is going to be important, because otherwise people might just be looping value every time they cast a dragon. So, but that's only good if the front half is good. So what does this one do? For 4 mana, when it enters, create 2/2 white soldier creature tokens. Okay, that looks good. That looks really good. Play this on 4. Get 2/2s, and then bounce it on turn 5 when you slam your dragon, and then on turn 6 you could just threaten to do this again unless you have something better to do. Yeah, this looks tough. Going wide and tall with 2/2s, blocking all the mobilized tokens. I'm pretty strong on this card. This card looks like an E, excuse me, a B-, maybe even a B. This card looks good. If you have 3 or 4 or 5 dragons in your deck, even better. Waze Speaker Bodyguard. 3 white, Orc Monk, uncommon, 3/4. ETB, return target non-land permanent card with mana value 2 or less from graveyard to your hand. Flurry, whenever you cast your second spell each turn, tap target creature an opponent controls. Okay, so again, like in an aggro deck, assuming you have a lot of 1 and 2 drops, you have traded with them as you've been attacking, they've been blocking, you've been trading off, and then you get a 3/4 that gets you back a cheap creature or a cheap spell. No, it is a permanent, yeah. So of mana value 2 or less, so pretty much creature. Get you back which then helps you enable Flurry because you now have something else to your hand. Okay, so that's why it goes to your hand instead of the battlefield, is that it lets you do Flurry. Got it. I get the joke. And you get to tap something, so it keeps the way clear. I mean, I'm not necessarily excited to put this in like your average Jeskai deck, mid-range deck, but in like an aggro deck as a top end, I think this could be good. I don't know. That's interesting. 4 mana, 3/4, get something back. Maybe that is really good. Maybe that is good. I'll just give it a conservative C+, but maybe the potential is higher. Maybe this proves to be a really good card. Loxodon Battle Priest, 4 white, Elephant Cleric, uncommon, 3/5. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on another target creature you control. Okay, so obviously phenomenal. Synergizes with all the +1/+1 counter stuff we've talked about. And then, so with either of if this is in your Abzan deck and you have either of the black-green uncommons that we covered at the start of this video, you're getting you're getting 2 +1/+1 counters, or that +1/+1 counter is going on a creature, and if it dies, the counter stays around. All this on a 3/5 body. I love that extra point of toughness because there are so many 4-power creatures. It does have to target another creature, so you can't make this a 4/6. But that's fine because like this thing's going to just give you value every turn. Usually we see these on like 2 or 3 drops in like the rare slot, and those are just insane because you just get so many turns worth of value, right? Because you only get 1 counter per turn, but on a 2-drop over the course of an 8-turn game, you get 6 counters or whatever if it stays on the battlefield. Whereas this, you're playing it late, so in the course of an 8-turn game, you're getting 3 counters, which is still good and still something that your opponent has to deal with. You're going to keep getting more and more value. So this card looks like a B-. This card looks good. Riling Dawnbreaker, 4 white dragon, 3/4, flying vigilance. At the beginning of combat on your turn, Another target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Okay, so this is not a Sarah Angel. It can't target itself. It doesn't become a 4/4 flying vigilance. So, but it kind of does. It just has to give that somewhere else. But notably, you get it on the first turn it enters. So you start pumping something right away. That looks pretty good. I think that looks solid, and it has vigilance itself. Like, that's great. And again, I keep talking about this like in a world of everyone has 4/4 flyers. It's not like every game is going to have a 4/4 flyer in it at all times, or like from turn 5 on. Like, that's not going to happen. People won't draw them. They won't have them in their decks. So while it is something to think about and be concerned about, it's not like it's always going to be ever present. So I don't know. That looks pretty good. And then this is also an omen, by the way. So it has Signaling Roar, Sorcery, Omen, create a 2/2 white soldier creature token. So whatever. You have a 2-drop 2/2 generic. I mean, it's a token, so it can do stuff with tokens, I guess. And there are a lot of things that benefit the tokens. So there's a little bit of synergy there. So I like this. I actually like this card because this is the type of card that's just really helpful. This is what helps prevent the aggro decks from running over the format. The fact that you can get a good, powerful top end that's more powerful than your opponent's aggro deck, but in a pinch, and you say, I don't have time for that. I can't be waiting around. I got to do something. I'll make a 2/2 to trade with their 2/2. So I like this card. And these are the type of cards that make me hopeful that this will not be a super fast format, that we will have time to play our tap lands, to play our 3-4 color decks, our 5 color soups, Dirtle, slam some big dragons, go with ultimate value from the graveyard. So these types of cards, I'm glad I see these in the format. I think these are going to be really pivotal and key role players. So for that reason, I'm going to give this, I think I'm going to give it maybe a B- because of how like pivotal this might be in best of ones to avoid getting run over. Other than that, maybe a C+, but I think I'm happy to put this card in my deck. Static Snare, 4 white enchantment, uncommon, flash. This costs 1 less to cast for each attacking creature you control. Okay, so it could potentially be a 1-drop. That's insane. ETB, exile target artifact or creature an opponent controls until this leaves the battlefield. Okay, so all you need is a creature that has Mobilize 1, and this is just a 3-drop Oblivion Ring. All right, a Banishing Light, which we see all the time. If you have anything more than that, anything at all, an extra token, anything that extra that's attacking, this becomes a 2-drop, and then if you do have 4 cards, like this is the Ox combo, the Ox attacks with Mobilize 3, you got 4 attacking creatures, this is a 1-drop exiler thing. Like, good luck coming back from that. This card looks phenomenal. This card looks like a very scary bee. Obviously, the dream is to play this on 1 in a Mobilize Go Wide deck, but it's going to be pretty easy to attack for 2 creatures. If you're ever attacking with a 3rd creature, any extra token floating around that's attacking, you're doing this for 2 mana. Looks fantastic. Salt Road Pack Beast, 5 white beast. Common, 4/3. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature you control. ETB, draw a card. Okay, great. So remember, the mobilized tokens do stick around until end of turn. You sacrifice them at the end step, not end of combat, so you play this on your second main. So even if you just have 2 creatures, how happy are we with a 4-drop, 4/3 draw a card? Very happy. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And again, it's not like it just counts creature tokens. That's just bonus. That's just gravy. This is where something where, yeah, in any type of go wide deck, this looks great. But if you have 3 creatures, like doing this for 3 mana, 4/3 draw a card, phenomenal. Stoked on that. Doing it for 4, still happy. So this card, and then obviously 5 creatures, a 1-drop, 4/3 draw a card. Okay, it'll happen, and it'll be glorious when it does. But yeah, I think this looks great. I'm happy to get a 4/3 draw card for 4 mana, and anything above that is just gravy. This looks like a solid B. I think I'm going to be happy putting these in my decks. All right, moving on to blue. Dragonstorm Forecaster. Blue. Human Scout Uncommon 03. Okay, so 1 mana 03. Plays some defense, I guess. 2 tap. Target. Search your library for a card named Dragonstorm Globe or Boulderborn Dragon. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Okay, so one of our little package cards. Let's see what those cards do. What can you go and tutor up? You can get the Globe, which is a 3 mana artifact. And these are at common. So the tutor is at uncommon, and the 2 things we go grab are at common. Each dragon you control enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Okay, so a 3 mana rock, that's mana fixing, and then also gives your dragons extra power and toughness. Maybe that's actually kind of good. I don't know. I mean, so okay, so the clear scenario is you pay this on 1, on turn 2 you block something, and then pay your 2 mana to go and search. Since it's an 0/3, it's a decent blocker, and then you grab the Dragonstorm Globe for your turn 3 play. And then you're set up for the rest of the game. You have your extra mana, you've ramped, you have your little defensive guy. I don't know. If this card seems to be good, then I'm all in on the 1 drop to go get it. Is this card good? Maybe. It is nice that it pumps all your dragons. That is nice. And if you have a deck with like 6 dragons in it or something, I don't know. Maybe that's too many to have, but 4, 5, 6 dragons. If we're just living the dream, going big, we're focused on early defense, then big, powerful bombs in the late game, and this helps fix your mana for the late game too. In those types of decks, maybe this is good. You're getting extra points of power and toughness, extra counters. So if this card seems to be good, then I'm all in on the Forecaster to go get it. And then the other option you can do is the Boulderborn Dragon, which is a 5-drop. Is an artifact creature dragon, so it's just 5 generic. 3/3 flying vigilance when it attacks, surveil 1. Okay, so pretty underwhelming 5-drop there. 5 mana for a 3/3 flying vigilance. Okay, so this is the fail state. I think this is the fail case. I'm guessing that of the 2 package cards, we're going to want the globe more often, but then if for whatever reason you don't get the globe or you've already drawn it, you can have a dragon. And notably, obviously, okay, you play all 3, I get it. So turn 4, turn 4 turn 3 you play the globe, and then turn 4 you play this, and it's a 4/4. I get it. Okay, so there's a clear mission here. Maybe I'm actually kind of bullish on this the more I think about it. The fact that this thing just blocks on your turn 2 and then goes and gets you this thing, which gets you whichever piece you're missing. Sorry, I'm going all over the place here. Gets you whatever piece you're missing, so then you can get the mana rock, and then this is not a 3/3, it's a 4/4. And you played it on turn 4, you played it ahead of schedule because you got the mana rock. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I think everyone's gonna accomplish this. We'll see if it's good. Maybe, and if so, then these cards are all gonna be C plus, like you want them. Well, the tutor you want, and then whichever one of these ends up being better, which most likely is the globe, becomes very good. So this package overall as a whole, we're gonna say it's playable until proven otherwise. But I do think it's probably in the C plus territory, or C plus territory of being good, especially in the right dirtily deck with a bunch of dragons. All right, moving on with the rest of the blue cards. Humbling Elder, blue, human monk, 1/2 flash, ETB, target creature and opponent controls gets -2, -0 until turn. So I look at this like a 1/2 body is so underwhelming that I'm looking at this as like really just a combat trick, which -2, -0 is not a good combat trick. It's not bad, it's not terrible, but it's not great. But then you get a 1/2 body for your troubles. Maybe this card's good. It's obviously a 1-drop instant, so it can help surprise people with flurry and stuff. And then you can win combat. So situationally, this card could be a C+, but my instinct is on average, I won't be putting this card in my deck. Ringing Bell Strike. Blue, enchantment aura, common, enchant creature. ETB, tap target creature. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. Enchanted creature has pay 5 generic, untap this creature. Okay, so it puts them into sleep until they can pay 5 mana to untap it. If you have plenty of value in your deck, this looks like a great card to interact early with your opponent and easily, like on the defensive side. And then you can make up with the fact that later they can pay 5 mana, untap their creature, and you have plenty of value. You're drawing plenty of extra cards, so you made up for the lost card advantage hurt you early and all the tempo that you got. It's great. Also, 5 mana is kind of a lot to untap their creature, and they have to do it each time. Like, it continues to stay. Every time they want to tap it, they continue to do that. So on defense, this looks fine. On offense, like, it basically is a 1 mana removal spell in a very aggressive deck, and that could be if I could see this being an important role player. Because like if this just is a removal spell and the game's over before they ever get a chance to pay 5 and untap it, or it's effectively over and they get to a situation where it's turn 5, turn 6, and like paying 5 to untap this, they're just dead on board. Then they have to do something else, so it stays tapped down for an extra turn cycle. Yeah, I think this card could be good. I'm more excited about it in like a Soul Tide deck where I'm going to be drawing extra cards and everything, and this just helps buy me time until I get to the later game. So I could see this being good. I could see it being a C plus card, but it might be like C minus or even D plus. And it'll be worth experimenting with. I think might be better than it looks. Spectral Denial, X blue, instant, uncommon. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. Okay, so again, a kind of a callback to the ferocious mechanic from the original Tarkir. Counter target spell unless the controller pays X. Okay, so syncopate with a little extra bonus if you have some powerful creatures there. Nice. So it's also kind of cool how it's similar to Harmonize, and that with your big creatures, it's benefiting with that. Yeah, this card could be good. Good in the early game because they're just gonna be, people are gonna be curving out and tapping, so you can just pay 2 mana and just they don't have the 1 extra mana. So 2 mana counter spell in the early game, and then later it can be a good could counter the drip bombs. Then you're getting a discount as well with any if you have 1 or if you have 2 4 power creatures, like great. Then you can pay this for 1 and they have to pay 2 extra. You pay for 2, they have to pay 3 extra, etc. So I think this card looks pretty good. I'm going to say this card is going to be a good, solid role player, a card you're going to put into a fair number of decks. Not every deck's going to run this, not every blue deck, but I'm going to say C plus on this card. I think it looks good. Unending Whisperer, blue, sorcery, draw a card. Okay, so this is what I've been talking about. And then Harmonize, 5 and 1. 5 and 1 blue. So this is what I've been talking about. I've been looking for cheap cantrips, 1 mana cantrips, but sorcery speed draw card is terrible. Like that is a terrible card. You don't want to put that unless you have a ton of prowess, a ton of flurry. Like this is just gonna make your deck boom. You other than that, and again, there's no card selection at all. So like cantrips they do just flood those decks. Like decks with a bunch of cantrips do just flood. And so what do you do when you're flooding? Well, you draw extra cards because this does have Harmonize, so it can draw you 2 cards. That makes this card way more interesting. Other than that, you look at this card and you're like, oh gosh, okay, this is a terrible. All of your creatures better have flurry and prowess in order for this card to be in your deck. But the fact that you can just mill this card over and then at some point during the game spend 1 or 2 mana to draw a card, that's more interesting. So the fact that this can be card advantage, now we're cooking up a storm here. So with the Harmonized side of it, I mean, and also the 5, there's plenty of elephants in Temur, right? We saw the elephant tokens, so you tap one of your tokens if the game is really getting drawn out and you get extra value. Like, this is the type of board stall, like, dirtle. Like, okay, this is a slow format. There's tons of board stalls, and whoever gets the most card advantage wins, then you're going to be happy putting this in your deck. Like, you top tick this in a board stall, and, okay, you pay 2 mana, you draw 2 cards. And, yeah, you tap on your creatures, but no one cares because, it's a board stall anyway. So, in that scenario, I could see this being a good C plus card. Other than that, I'm skeptical. Maybe this is like pretty terrible. D plus, not good. Wingspan Stride. Wingspan Stride, blue, enchant aura common, enchant creatures. Creature gets +1/+1 and has flying. Okay, and then you can pay 3 mana to return this to your hand. Notably, you don't do that from the graveyard or anything, so you have to happen to have 3 mana up when they go to remove your creature, kill your creature, in order to not lose the value and get 2 for 1 to yourself on this. Maybe in the right aggro deck, in the right, you giving something +1/+1 to flying for 1 mana is really good, and you have a 16 15 card deck and you just have tons of 1s and 2 drops and you're just pumping your creatures. You have too many creatures to deal with. Maybe this is good. Overall, this card looks like a real stinker to me. I'm looking like a D for this card, except for maybe in fringe scenarios. Agent of Kotis, 1 blue, human rogue, 2/1, renew, 3/1. So it's a 2 mana 2/1. Not great, especially because 1 toughness, pretty bad on defense, I think, in a lot of situations. Renew 3/1. Exile this card from your graveyard. Put 2+1/+1 counters on target creature. Activate as a sorcery. Okay, great card. Like, this card looks good. If you can trade this, like, obviously it can't block tokens, but in order for them to get those mobilized tokens, they have to attack with their creatures. So if you can trade with the actual creature that's attacking and creating those mobilized tokens, great. Gives you something to do in the early game, and then a great mana sink in the late game to just, hey, whatever, I got 4 mana. No problem. I'm just going to pump up one of my creatures. Like, 4 mana is a lot for 2+1/+1 counters, but if that's extra value and you already traded with something early, or you mailed this into your graveyard, that looks good. I'm going to say this is a good C card in... I mean, we've seen a lot of really powerful graveyard stuff. So I'm going to say this is a C. You're going to be happy to put this in your deck, but not over the moon. Oh my gosh. Like, you're not going to say, my deck didn't come together, I didn't get an Agent of Codas in it, but could be a good value card. Dispelling Exhale. 1 blue instant. You may behold a dragon as you cast the spell. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. If a dragon was beheld, counter target that spell unless its controller pays 4 instead. Okay, so we see these types of effects a lot where it's a counter in the early game, and then in the late game there's ways to still make it a pretty strong counter. Like, 4 is a lot. They got to be, that's a lot to pay. Basically still, a counter spell. So this card looks good. I think it's the blue exhale. I think all the exhales look good. Spoiler, like, they all look good. I think this looks like a solid C+ card you're happy to put in your deck. Fresh Start. 1 blue enchantment aura, uncommon flash, enchant creature. Enchant creature gets -5/-0 and loses all abilities. Okay, loses all abilities. That's always good. It has flash, so you still, this is blue removal, right? Where you still have to be able to do something. You have to be able to kill it somehow, or get it in combat, or else it can stay back on defense when it still has all its toughness. But this card could be good. Could be a solid C+. Roiling Dragonstorm, so the blue Dragonstorm, 1 in blue. Enchantment, when ETB, draw 2 cards, then discard a card. Okay, always good. So you're neutral on cards. You don't gain an extra card. Or no. So, let's see. You cast it. Yeah, so it just replaces itself, right? And then when a dragon ETBs, you return it to your hand. This is a value train. I mean, doing this the first time is great. Some really good card selection to be able to draw to and discard whatever you don't see. You're going to be discarding cards, again, either that have renew or that, discarding those extra lands. So that's always great. This card looks very good. This card looks like potentially a B-. Like, if you bounce this once, you're just cruising. If you bounce it twice, like, okay, you've now drawn a bunch of extra cards, seen a ton of extra cards. It's a 3-for-1, and then with tons of card selection. So basically, I'll count that as like a 4-for-1 essentially, because of all the card selection you're getting and the value of your graveyard. If you ever bounce this thing twice, like, you are just humming. This looks like a B. Teamer Devotee, 1 blue, human druid, 3/3 defender, and then it has the Teamer filtering ability. Great. This looks good. Like, this is a card I want. A 2-drop 3/3 defender. We always see these, but then this one doesn't. Unlike cards we commonly see, this one doesn't gain the ability to attack sometimes, but does have the ability to fix your mana, while buying you the time to get to the late game with a solid body. I'm going to be, honestly, like, a 3/3 for 2 mana on defender is just, usually that's the thing you want to be doing to buy yourself time to get to the late game. That helps fix your mana as well. So I think I'm going to put this in my deck, solid C. Urani's Rebuff, 1 blue sorcery, return target creature to its owner's hand, harmonize, 5/1. Interesting. So obviously bouncing tokens, specifically not the mobilized tokens, the other ones, the endure tokens, is going to be great. And then it is 2 mana sorcery. That's pretty expensive to bounce something, but in the fact that you can do this again with harmonize, looks good. So you can do this twice. Like, I mean, that's going to be brutal to just be looking. If you're behind on board and you just see this in someone's graveyard because of they either played it early in the game or they milled it at some point, you're just like, okay, well, I'm behind on board. What am I supposed to do? Like, play this and just play my creature and have it bounced and just be super far behind? I think this card looks pretty good. I think this card looks like a C+. Veteran Ice Climber, 1 blue, human scout, uncommon, 1/3. Vigilance, this creature can't be blocked. Okay, so it's a 1/3 and a 2-drop with Vigilance, and you're just getting a free point of damage every turn. When it attacks, up to one target player mills cards equal to this creature's power. Okay, cool. So I'm going to be putting this in my blue decks for sure, my blue-green decks. Good on defense. That extra point of toughness is great. The 1 power, again, making 1 toughness creatures all the more vulnerable for cards like this that you're going to be seeing. It has Vigilance, so it's always going to be there on defense. They're going to be pinging you for 1 each turn and milling themselves for 1 each turn. And then if you ever, you renewed something, you happen to throw some counters on this, and now it's like, oh gosh, wait, 3/5, like that card we saw earlier that you can renew and get 2+1/+1 counters. You throw that on this thing, and now you have a 3/5 that's unblockable Vigilance. Jeez. This looks like an awesome target for your renew. This card looks great. I'm going to put this in a B. I think I'm going to be really excited to play this card. It could be does everything you want. It sets you up on defense, gets you some chip damage in, and then helps mill you. And then later it becomes just like this awesome win condition. So all that for a 2-drop? B. This card looks great. B+ maybe? Yeah. Essence Anchor. 2 blue artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, surveil 1. Okay, nice. So again, more card selection and graveyard enablement. Create a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token. You tap it. Activate only during your turn and only if a card left your graveyard this turn. Okay, awesome. So the way this plays out, you play this and you start surveilling every turn. So you're getting good card selection, and then you're throwing your harmonized cards into your graveyard or your renew cards into your graveyard, and then you cast you cast the harmonize, or you activate the renew, and then you just get a 2/2. And if you do this twice, you get 2 2/2s. And what's nice is you're getting those bodies to help you with harmonize later in the game. This card looks pretty good. If you have time to play this and do the thing, like you are taking turn 3 off to do this, notably. But the fact that later you can get that this can start creating, like this doesn't just create card advantage, like drawing you cards, it actually affects the board right away to help catch you back up because you took turn 3 off, but then you're getting a 2/2 later on and another 2/2. Like this card looks like it can be pretty good. I could see this easily being a solid B+. High Spire Bellringer, 2 blue, Jin Monk, common, 1/4, flying. The second spell you cast each turn costs 1 less to cast. Okay, so something to help you enable the flurry mechanic, but the problem is this is like a flying 1/4. So when the flurry want to be aggressive and you're spending 3 mana for a 1/4, I don't think this is very good. This looks like, I get it synergizes, doesn't look very good. I think this looks like a trap. This looks like a D. I don't think this is going to go in your deck very often. Kishla Trawlers. 2 blue, human citizen, uncommon, 3/2. ETB, you may exile a creature card from your graveyard. When you do, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Do you need to say anything else? Oh my gosh. Okay, so there's a little bit of a setup cost that you have to exile a creature card from your graveyard, but then if you do, you get an instant or sorcery back to your hand. All this on a 3/2? Oh, now this is why you mill, right? This is why you start self-milling early on, because you're going to have a nice, fat, full graveyard, or even just like whatever. You play this like on, you exile your 2-drop that traded at some point in the game. You get a 3/2 body that gets you your instant or sorcery card back to your hand. And then, of course, it enables anything where a card leaves your graveyard that turn. Yep. Sign me up. This looks like a B. This looks fantastic. Sig Appraiser. 2 blue, Zombie Advisor, 2/1. Okay, not very good so far. 3 mana for a 2/1. What does it do? ETB, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand and 1 into the graveyard. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I want to be doing this anyway. Like, I want to be putting cards into my graveyard. I want card selection, and to put that on a 2/1, great. Help enable the late game. As long as you can trade with something that has 2 toughness. Like, yeah, it's a little slow, a little expensive, but I am very, very happy to put as many of these in my deck as I can. It's replacing itself. It's enabling its card selection. It's enabling your graveyard shenanigans. Sign me up. this, I'm going to be bullish. I'm going to say this is like a B. Like, I'm just never going to cut these from my decks. I'm always going to be happy to put these in. You're always going to be happy to draw this. Like, you're behind. You're like, okay, well, sweet. I get to put a body on the board while helping get card selection, help catch me up, help find the answer I need. Looks good. Wingblade Disciple, 2 blue, human monk, uncommon, 2/2 flying. Okay, so just a Windrake, but a human monk that can fly for some reason. Flurry, whenever you cast your second spell each turn, create a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying. Okay, so that's a very good payoff for Flurry. Right? Having a Windrake that can pump out 1/1 flyers is very good. How many times does this have to happen? Even if it happens once, I'm pretty happy. If it happens twice, gravy. So in the Flurry deck, if the Flurry deck is the thing, this looks like a very, very good card that you're going to be, it's going to have a lightning rod. You're going to have to kill this thing before you just get overrun with 1/1 flyers. That your opponent has to deal with this. So in that case, I'm going to say this is like a B minus, maybe. Yeah. Obviously, it's got to go in the Flurry deck. Aegis Sculptor, 3 blue, bird wizard, uncommon, 2/3 flying, ward 2. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile 2 cards from your graveyard. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Okay, so the classic 4-drop flyer that can get +1/+1 counters. It has ward 2, so that's pretty good. Like, this isn't one of those cards where it's like, oh, it just instantly dies. Like, if it dies, you're not down on mana, so that's good, because usually that's what happens with these types of cards. Is you think, oh my gosh, I'm going to just slam this, it's going to grow over time, and they end up killing it for 1 or 2 mana, and you just get blown out. Like, it's just a total tempo swing. Ward 2 helps you not lose that tempo swing. Exiling 2 cards from your graveyard, as long as you have fodder in there, right? As long as you have like whatever random stuff you milled over, you're not going to obviously want to use this to on any of your value cards of your renew or harmonize, but I don't know, 4-drop 2/3 flying ward 2 that next turn can become a 3/4. Then the turn after that can become a 4/5. It might be good. This might be a C+ card. It might be just terrible. It might just end up being a D. Who knows? Obviously, you have to have graveyard shenanigans to do this, but you're going to get one of these on the house. And then if you're self-milling, you might get 2 or 3 opportunities to make this over time become a 4/5 or even a 6, a 5/6, which is really good with Ward 2. So considering you probably do get one of these on the house, one of these abilities just for playing a normal game of Magic, so you're kind of getting a 4-mana, 4/3 flyer Ward 2. That looks good. I'm going to say this is a C+. I think, but yeah, we'll see. Riverwalk Technique, 3 blue, instant, choose 1. Target the owner of target non-land permanent, so not just creatures, puts it on the top or bottom of the library, their choice if it's top or bottom, or counter target non-creature spell. Okay, so a 4-mana negate, or 4-mana removal. You're gonna play this. You're gonna have to put some removal in your deck, and it's kind of nice that it does have the interaction with to negate things. So it is pretty flexible in this regard. I'm gonna we'll say this is a C. Maybe it becomes a C+. Maybe it becomes pretty good. Maybe it's a C-. Maybe it ends up not being that good. But if it's a slow format, like usually this type of thing can be good. Type of effect. Snowmelt Stag, 3 blue. Elemental Elk, 2/5. Okay, so 4-mana, 2/5. Vigilance. During your turn, this creature has base power and toughness 5/2. Interesting. And then for 5 and 2 blue, it can't be blocked this turn. Okay, 2 toughness is really hard to get a profitable attack in. So I'm viewing this definitely as your defensive creature, right? I view this as a 4-mana, 2/5. And then maybe once in a while you get a free attack for just slamming 5 in and it has vigilance, so you can just do that for free. And then, really in the late game, like you can just, you can do this as a mana sink. Okay, all this for 4 mana, and it blocks all the 4-mana 4/4s. And then you can like double block their 4-mana 4/4s with this and a 2/2 to give yourself, like make their attacks really difficult. This card looks pretty good, actually. I'm gonna say this is a C+. I'm viewing this as a defensive creature only. But then maybe once in a while you just slam in for 5 if they don't, for some reason, can't deal with a 5/2. Or if you just say, I'm going to pump 7 mana into this and attack them for 5 unblockable with my other creatures on the battlefield and just end the game on the spot. So mostly a defensive creature that looks good in that regard. So C plus with some upside. Defensive creature with some upside. Constrictor Sage, 4 blue, Snake Wizard uncommon, 4/4. So now we're getting 5 mana for a 4/4. When this creature enters, tap target creature and opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. Okay, great. So your Frost Giants, right? 5 mana, 4/4, tap something down for a turn with that stun counter. And then it also has Renew, exile this card from your graveyard, tap target creature and opponent controls, and put a stun counter on it. So do the same thing. Yep. I'm excited about this card. This looks like a solid B-. I think this card's going to be great. Solid big body, powerful effect, helps stall the game. Even if they remove this, like, you still get the stun counter, and then you can do it again from the graveyard the next turn. This is really going to slow down the format. The more I see more cards, the more I'm hopeful. I know I said in the first video I was scared about Mobilize. Is this gonna just be? I think, is this gonna be really strong? Because the aggro decks look strong potentially. The mechanic looks strong with Mobilize. There's a lot of good Mobilize cards. It seems like there's plenty of things to do to combat this and slow down the format. Because remember, if you tap their creature down, they're not attacking with that Mobilize. They're not getting those tokens. They're not getting all the synergy. So my guess is we need to. So far, my guess is we need to respect the aggro decks, but we don't have to fear the aggro decks. I'm hoping that's the case. That's always like a good format. Like, you need some fun police, so we're not all just doing, not every game is taking an hour long, but you don't want to just live in fear of like, oh, I didn't have a 2-drop, I lost the game. So we'll see. Focus the Mind, 4 blue. This spell costs 2 less to cast if you've cast another spell this turn. Draw 3, discard 1. Okay, so this keeps the gas flowing, and this is a common. So first of all, like, this is just, if you ever, for some reason, let's look at this in order. 5 mana, instant, draw 3, discard a card. So you're up a card with card advantage. For 5 mana, instant, 5 mana, I want to be drawing 3 cards and not discarding. You want Jace's Ingenuity. For 3 mana, this is over the moon. This is fantastic. And it helps keep so for a non-flurry deck, like, this is a card that obviously it's built with flurry in mind. You look at the art, you look at the mechanics. Obviously, this is a flurry card. In a non-flurry deck, it's not bad. Like, this isn't bad. Especially when you get to cast it for 3 in a non-flurry deck, because that's going to happen some amount of the time too. Like, it's not only flurry decks that get to cast 2 spells in a turn. But then for the flurry deck specifically, it keeps your gas flowing. And again, like I said, if you're going to have a lot of cantrips, you're going to be flooded. This can help you, negate that flood by drawing you that extra card. Like, for 2 mana, draw 3, discard your land that you don't need. That looks good. So this card looks like a C+. I'm going to be happy to cast this card. Ice Ridge Serpent, 4 blue, Serpent, common, 3/3, ETB, return target creature and opponent controls to its owner's hand. Okay, so a mana war. I love mana wars. 5 mana for a 3/3 is pretty underwhelming. I don't know about that. I think this is going to be a C. I think it's not going to. This is not a B. This is not a D. Like, I don't think this is going to be terrible. You never play this. But 5 mana for 3/3 is pretty underwhelming there. I'm going to say C. Maybe it ends up being C+, maybe it's C-. Time will tell. I don't know. Bewildering Blizzard. All right, spoiler alert, this is my favorite card in the format. I want to cast as many of these as possible. So what does this card do? 4 blue, instant, uncommon, draw 3 cards. Creatures your opponents control get -3/-0. This card is bananas. When I read this card, I had to read it a couple times to make sure I was understanding it correctly. And then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, oh my gosh, this card gets even better. So instant speed, draw 3, great. 6 mana is a lot to do that. So what are you getting for that extra mana you're spending? You're getting a fog initially, right? So that's the way to look at this. It's like, okay, part of the problem with card draw is that you fall behind on board. This helps you not fall too far behind on board because it negates one of their attacks, right? All their creatures get -3/-3, -0. So right, they attack, they do their thing. If they have extra mobilize, whatever, they get all their tokens on board. You say that's fine. -3/-0 across the board. And I get to draw 3. Like, I'm not just going to take turn 6 completely off and not affect the board. I mean, you're not adding to the board, but you're not also just taking a whole bunch of damage. But are you not affecting the board? The fact that this is also a combat trick, like they attack and you're just like, all right, sweet. I'm going to not take any damage. I'm going to draw 3 cards. Oh, and by the way, this gives me a profitable block of something that you thought I was going to have to trade for. It's not a trade. It's just I'm just absorbing your creature. Your 3/3 is blocking my 3/3, or I'm blocking your 3/3 with my 3/3, right? The my 3/3 survives and yours doesn't. So this can become a 4 or 5 for 1. Like, I love this card so much. I want to cast as many of these as possible until proven otherwise. And, but I'm gonna put this at a B plus. Thrilled to have this, and you can really turn around a lot of games. Durger Island Dragon, blue 5 blue, dragon, common 4/4 flying ward 2. Okay, a 6-drop flying 4/4 ward 2. Like, the ward 2 is nice, but there's also just cheaper 4/4 flyers. So what is it has an omen. What does the omen do? 1 blue instant, tap target creature, draw a card. Okay, so it just helps buy you a turn. I like that. Again, it helps you be able to combat the main classic theme that we're seeing. I'm always keeping this in mind. How can you combat the early turns, stay alive to do your late game stuff? That being said, so this does both of those things in a mediocre fashion. Like, it's not that great of late game top end. It's just a 4/4 flyer that has ward 2, which is nice, but in the late game, ward 2 matters less and less because they have the extra mana and they don't have the cards to deal with this. In the early game, spending 2 mana to tap a creature and draw a card is okay. Like, it just buys you. This is essentially like gain 2 life, draw a card, gain 3 life, draw a card, whatever. So it's fine. But like, that's the way to view this: is you fog one of their creatures for a turn, so you gain 3 life, draw a card for 2 mana. I'd say both of these things are mediocre. You stave them onto 1 card, and you're looking at a C. I think this card is replaceable, but you're going to be fine to play it. It's not going to be terrible and just lose you the game for drawing this card. Moving on to black. Caustic Exhale. Black instant. As an additional cost to pay this, behold the spell, behold a dragon, or pay 1. Target creature gets -3/-3. So here's the black the exhale cycle, and this looks phenomenal. 2 mana for -3/-3 is great. Technically can be a combat trick to help you kill something bigger and then obviously kill small things. And then 1 mana for this is just insane. This looks like, it's definitely a C plus at 2 mana, and at 1 mana, this is a B. Desperate Measures. Black instant, uncommon. Target creature gets +1/-1 until end of turn. When it dies under your control this turn, draw 2 cards. This card is really interesting, really difficult to evaluate. Obviously, if you have this be a combat trick that allows your creatures to trade, I think that's probably the best scenario. Like, yes, you could kill your own token like this to just spend 1 mana to draw 2 cards. And that's great. That's cool if it happens. Being able to kill an opponent's 1 toughness creature is good. I'm starting to get skeptical about 1 toughness creatures in this set. I think they might be extra fragile. For doing that for 1 mana is good, especially if it's a 2 or 3 mana card. I think I've seen a couple 1 or 2 3 drops with 1 toughness. I know I've seen a couple 2 drops with 1 toughness. So being able to kill that for 1 mana is great. But I think the real dream of this card, like, both of those first 2 things are good, and then the real dream is to have they attack with, or have your 2/2 up against their 3/3, and then they trade in combat and you draw 2 cards. I mean, that's just the dream scenario, 1 mana. And I don't think that's going to happen as often. That being said, really high ceiling. The floor is decent. It's kind of like the card we just saw in the last set, that cycle that did this, but had give a creature -1/-1, and then it could cycle for 1 mana. But instead of that, you have this weird buyout of, like, if you can manage to kill one of your own things, then you draw 2 cards instead. So I think this card looks pretty good overall. I think it's going to be C plus probably, maybe B minus. Worthy cost, black. Okay, so we have 3 1 mana removal spells in black. That's crazy. Common sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature, exile target creature or planeswalker. Exiling, of course, significant for the graveyard effects. This is really good if you have something to sacrifice it with. Otherwise, you're just 2-for-1 in yourself with major tempo swing and whatnot. So naturally you're gonna think, oh well, I'll just sacrifice this. I'll sacrifice my token that I get for attacking, my mobilized token, and then can exile their creature. The problem is you get this is sorcery speed, and you don't get these mobilized tokens until after combat. So you don't get to remove their blocker ahead of time. So if you don't have good attacks, and then you have to swing into their creature, then to get your token, and that also means they don't block that token, and then it's still around for you to sacrifice a second main phase to exile their big good blocker. So I'm a little skeptical about that being able to work out too often. So I don't know how to really. I think this is going to be tough unless you have a lot of value in the sacrifice. If you don't have good things to easy stuff to fodder, that's what I'm looking for. Dragon fodder, huh? If you don't have easy dragon fodder to sacrifice, or no benefits to a sacrifice deck, which it doesn't look to be that the black-white isn't a sacrifice deck that I've seen, then I'm a little skeptical on this card and probably wouldn't play it. That's going to be more of a D+ territory. If you do have good ways to play it, it could be a C+, B-. I don't know about B-. That seems strong, but it just seems really difficult. The fact that it's sorcery speed and requires that sacrifice of a creature. Okay, Abzan Devotee, 1 and black, dog cleric, common 2/1, and this is the filter card. So for Abzan, so 1 generic filter to any Abzan mana, and then you can pay 2 and a black to return this from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, so the 1 toughness is concerning, but you ever trade this off and you can buy it back later. It's a good mana sink, and hey, here's something you can sacrifice to your worthy cause. So look at that. We found a little combo right there. So maybe worthy cause goes up if you have some graveyard recursion, things like that. Then it definitely goes up. And yeah, this card seems very serviceable. I think it's probably a C. The 2/1 body is not great for 2 mana, but especially if you need the mana fixing and you're in a 4-color deck, then sweet, throw it in there. Alchemist Assistant, 1 black monkey. Oh, cool. A monkey. I just saw monkeys today at the zoo. Uncommon, 2/1. Lifelink. Nice. I always love to see some lifelink. And it has Renew. 1 and black. Exile this card from your graveyard. Put a lifelink counter on target creature. Awesome. This is perfect for Teamer. A nice early card. You trade it off with something. You gain a couple points of life. And then later on, you can give another one of your bigger creatures lifelink for 2 mana. I like that. That seems very, very fairly costed. At 1 mana, it'd be too good for the Renew effect. At 3 mana, it might be too slow without a +1/+1 counter or something. So this seems great. I'm going to put this in lots of black decks. This looks like a C+. Alicia's Legacy, 1 and black instant. Target creature you control gains Death Touch and Indestructible until end of turn. Okay, so we've seen lots of effects like this. They're better on offense. It does allow, notably again, this is something that allows you to use someone who's blocking one of your tokens, your mobilized tokens, as a combat track removal spell. So I think this could be pretty good. Typically you want to be playing these on offense. Cool art. Really like the art there for dodging all the arrows, but not quite all of them. She took some, but it doesn't matter. She's indestructible, so that's fun. Cool art. I'm going to say this is probably potentially C+, in some decks, but you're not going to want more than 1 copy, so you don't need to probably pick these very highly. Corroding Dragonstorm. All right, the black Dragonstorm. 1 black enchantment. ETB, each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life, surveil 2. Okay, that's not... And then, of course, when a dragon enters the battlefield, return this to your hand. How many times do you need this trigger to be worth it? It's only 2 mana each time. The Surveil is good. Surveil 2 in the right deck is kind of draw 1. It's like half a card, right? If you're getting some good value and some good card selection. So I'd say it's half a card, and then draining 2 is not nothing. So again, this is so far probably the weakest of the Dragonstorms that we've seen, but if you can, this is the type of thing where it really some of them, I think Dragonstorms, you want them to be really good on the first time you play them. This one is not really good the first time you play it. It's just fine. But if you can play this 2 or 3 times in a game, like, awesome, dude, GG's. But at the same time, you got to remember, sometimes you're going to be top decking this. And, you've already cast your 2 dragons for that game. So that means you're not going to be able to get this thing to pop off as much. This one looks to be the weakest so far, probably a C-, I'm guessing. Delta Bloodflies. What, like I could see that card being cut from a deck, being your 24th, 25th card, and you're just not going to play it. Delta Bloodflies, 1 black, insect, 1/2, flying. When it attacks, if you control a creature with a counter on it, each opponent loses 1 life. Okay. I was kind of worried that in this review I've been giving too many favorable grades. I'm confident in saying this is a D. This is a stinker. It's a 2 mana 1/2 flyer. Who cares? Like, it's just such a weak, small body. And then you have to jump through hoops of the creature has to attack. So you have to have a good attack, which there's a lot of flyers in the set. And you have to have a creature with a counter, all just so your opponent loses a life. No way. D, not playing this card. Maybe even an F. Like, I feel like if you draw this card in your deck, you're more likely to lose than if it was anything else. I'm going to say this is an F. This looks terrible. Krumar Initiate, 1 black, human cleric, uncommon, 2/2, X black tap, pay X life. This creature endures X, activate only as a sorcery. Okay, so it gives you tokens, which is nice. You're not going to be this is difficult. You have to pay a bunch of mana. Like this, you're getting expensive tokens, right? Like you're always overpaying for the power and toughness you're getting. For 2 mana, you get a 1/1. 3 mana, you get a 2/2, etc. And you have to pay the life. So you have to have a bunch of mana and a bunch of life, and you can only do this at sorcery speed. I don't think this is very good. I don't think so at all. Like, most likely, I see you creating 1/1s with this, and like 2 mana and 1 life for a 1/1. I think this is probably a C-. Like, it is a filler 2 mana or 2/2 that can do stuff later, but I mean, that's pretty steep cost to pay. I'm not high on this card. I'm going to say C-. I'd probably D+ even. Like, I don't think you want this card in your deck. Strategic Betrayal, 1 black sorcery uncommon. Target opponent exiles a creature they control and their graveyard. Yeah, this is great. So the Endure tokens are kind of the worst hits, and that's the problem with Edict effects, right? Is the person gets to choose, and they can just choose their weakest creature on the battlefield. That being said, this is only a 2 mana for this Edict. It also exiles their graveyard, which is definitely some significant value here in any of these black decks, these blue black decks. Excuse me, green blue decks. So Sultai and Temur. This looks good. Early in the game, like, they might not have tokens floating around, right? A lot of things that create tokens that stick around for a while. There also are a couple of spells we've seen that are instant speed that do create tokens, like 2 tokens that raise the alarm effects. So if those cards are seen play, this card gets a whole lot worse. So maybe it might be best to sideboard this card in matchups where you're going against bigger creatures and graveyard synergies. So in those matchups where this card shines, obviously that's going to be a great B- card. Like, it's going to be pretty good in the early game, and then kills whatever, and then good in the late game as it exiles their graveyard as well. But yeah, I think there might be too many tokens floating around in this format for this to be good. So this might just be a total stinker. Might be like a D. And then a sideboard, C+. Unburied Earthcarer, 1 black human warrior, common 2/2, pay 2 mana, sacrifice another creature, put a +1/+1 counter on this. That's expensive. 2 mana. You can do it at instant speed, and all you get is a +1/+1 counter on this. So for 4 total mana, and you've sacrificed something, you get a 3/3. Nah, I'm off of it. Very filler level C-. I mean, like, 2 mana 2/2s, you just got to be doing more than that. Unless you're really in the market for a 2 mana 2/2, like, you can do worse because it technically does have some upside. But this is just total filler level. Aggressive Negotiations, 2 black sorcery. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it and exile that card. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature you control. Nah, 3 mana is way too much for this. Like, yes, you do get something if you have a creature on the battlefield, you get a +1/+1 counter, but 3 mana for this type of effect is just no good. D minus F territory. Dragon's Prey. This is interesting. I feel like black has some good cards, but so far in the common slots we had some really good removal early on, and then after that we've kind of seen a lot of duds so far for the early plays. That's definitely noticeable as you're going up the mana curve here. That black is going to have good early removal, but then the early on the board plays don't seem that good. Dragon's Prey, black 2, instant. This spell costs 2 more to cast if it targets a dragon. Destroy target creature. Awesome. Okay, so we have black's murder. We finally have murder for 1 black instead of 2 black, which makes this much easier to cast. That is fantastic. And then technically it has some downside because to kill dragons it costs 5, but that's okay because their dragons cost more, so it's not like you're getting blown out on mana there. You're typically killing. It'd be nice to get a mana advantage with that. We're right, killing something big for 3 mana, but the fact that you're killing any non-dragon for 3 mana is great. This looks like a total C+. You're going to put this in all your decks. So B- even, I guess. I don't know. I mean, no, it's not like it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to win the game because I played this, but C+, you're never cutting this card. Kin Tree Nurturer, black 2 black, human druid, 2/1 lifelink. When it enters, endure 1. Okay, so if you're in the market for life gain, this is good. Again, you're seeing a lot of instant life gain, a lot of random lifelink hanging around, and the flexibility to say this is either a 3/2 or a 1/1. Or 2 different bodies when that matters more can be good. I'm guessing you're going to want the second point of toughness more often than the second body. That said, I feel like you're paying a lot for not a lot of stats. Like a 3 mana 3/2 lifelink is still not that good, but I mean, if it trades for something, you gain 3 life. Like even if it trades for a 2/2, you do gain the 3 life. So sure, like this is a C. I think it's good enough to make the cut in most decks. Nightblade Brigade, 2 black, Goblin Soldier, Death Touch. It's a 1/3, Death Touch, Mobilize 1, when ETB, Surveil 1. Okay, so good on offense, good on defense. Well, not like, oh my gosh, amazing on offense. It does just attack for 2, but a good Death Toucher with 3 toughness, and the card selection of Surveilling. I love that they throw that in there. Like, clearly this is a Mardu card. Obviously it literally has the Mardu wings and it has the mobilize mechanic, which is the Mardu mechanic, but then they're like, you know what, if you're playing this in Sultai, hey, you get a Surveil, so enjoy. This card doesn't blow me away. Like, it is 3 mana, and dies to a lot of stuff with the 3 toughness, so this looks fine. This looks like a C. Unrooted Ancestor, 2 black, Spirit Cleric, uncommon, 3/2, flash, pay 1 mana, sacrifice another creature. This creature gains indestructible until end of turn, tap it. Awesome. This looks a 3/2 flash that has the ability to gain indestructible. You do have to sacrifice another creature, which normally is way too high of a cost to pay because you're just saving your 3/2. It's not like you're saving anything insane, but doing that when you're sacrificing a token is pretty reasonable. So this looks like a good card. The 2 toughness means you're going to have to be activating this. So if you have a lot of spare tokens to be running around, then it can be good. It's an interesting card. It isn't a sacrifice outlet if there's a threatened thing, so you have more ways to sacrifice if you gain your opponent to grab your opponent's creature. Target, so comboed with threaten in your deck, this seems much better. Without it, I don't know. It actually, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, All you're doing is saving your 3/2. Like, how good is that? Paying a mana, sacrificing another creature to save your 3/2. Maybe this is actually just a C-. Like, I could see cutting this in plenty of decks. Whale of War, cool. 3/2 instant uncommon. Choose 1. Creatures target opponent controls gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, so there was the Macabre Waltz effect I was talking about earlier. That might have been the last video, but that is a flexible card. Just two totally different things. A nice combat trick that can, get rid of those pesky tokens, those mobilized tokens, and then allow you to have a favorable blocks. So it seems good on defense, and then hey, if they don't end up attacking or something, you can just grab 2 cards. So the flexibility of this, these do 2 totally unrelated things. They don't even these clearly go into 2 different decks. You have, or not 2 different decks, but they do totally 2 different things. And then, you could use this on offense too, right? And give it so your opponent gave some blocks that they thought would be good or favorable, or trades that end up benefiting you somehow. But you do have to pay 3 mana for that. So this seems to be more like a defensive card you'd want to play, and then if you value the return 2 card creatures, that's going to be really good in different matchups. That's what I mean by this is really unrelated. These 2 effects you're going to play these in 2 different matchups. So I like the flexibility of that, especially in best of 1. The value is insane. To get 2 of your best creatures back in a long game, and you do this on turn 8 or turn 9 or something, and then you can play one of them right away. That seems like a good top deck. So I like the flexibility of this card. I'm a little bullish on it. I think this is maybe a C+ card. When it's good, it's good. But it does 2 totally different things. So it kind of gives you some options there, some flexibility. Yathon Tombguard, 2 black human warrior uncommon, 2/3. Okay, so 3 mana for a 2/3 body. Menace. Whenever a creature you control with a counter on it deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card and lose 1 life. Okay, that is very good. That is a very good effect. Notably, it doesn't come with a counter itself, but as we've seen, there's lots of ways to distribute counters on things. Also, it's just whenever a creature you control, so if you already have a creature in control that can do this, that's great. Makes it difficult to block with Menace. So obviously, if you give it a target, a counter, awesome, right? It's going to have some evasion, easy to get in there. And this is any type of counter, right? I think this looks good. This looks like a good card. This looks like a C+. I think I'm excited to put this in a lot of decks. Drawing a card and losing life it can be really, really valuable, and you can do it each time. Oh my gosh, this can happen more than once a turn too. So when you have multiple cards with +1/+1 counters or flying counters or anything like that, trample counters, dealing combat damage to a player, you could draw 2 cards. Whew. All that on a 2/3 Menace 3-drop. Oh yeah. B-. Let's go. I like this card. Cruel Truths. 3 black instant. Surveil 2, then draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. Okay, we've seen this type of card a lot. If you have the time and life to cast it in the slow format, this is great. Good card selection, good graveyard synergy, and then, but it is 4 mana and 2 life, so that's not nothing. It's a good cost to pay. So in a slow format or a slow matchup, this could be a C+. It could also be a C- in other scenarios in fast format. It could just be like a D+ in fast formats, which I don't think this is going to be. I don't think. We'll see. 100 Battle Veteran, 3 black zombie warrior, uncommon, 4/2. As long as there are 3 or more different kinds of counters among creatures you control, this creature gets +2/+4. Okay, so a 4 mana 4/2, terrible. A 4 mana 6/6, phenomenal. 3 different types of counters is difficult. It does have some more text. You may cast this card from your graveyard. If you do, it enters with a finality counter on it, which is when it would die with a finality counter. Instead, you exile it. Okay, so this card looks awesome. 4 mana 4/2, blocks and trades very favorably. Not that great on offense because they're just going to block it with a 2/2. But then you can get it back from your graveyard, and it has a finality counter on it. So as long as you have a +1/+1 counter, which can be very easy to do, all you need is one other type of counter: lifelink, trample, flying, anything like that. Then you get a 6/6 back from your graveyard, and you already traded with their 3 or their 4-drop. So, or they had to kill this. This card looks great. I really like the way the play pattern of this. The fact that you can just cast it from your graveyard. And that you can just do no matter what. You just get to cast this from your graveyard. with a finality counter. So by itself, it's automatically a 2-for-1, and then it can be a huge 6/6 for just 4 mana. I think this is a B. I think this card looks great. Salt Road Skirmish. 3 black sorcery, uncommon. Destroy target creature. Create 2 1/1 red creature tokens. They gain haste until end of turn. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Oh my gosh. That's so good. 4 mana, destroy anything, and it's easy to cast with only 1 black. And then you get your mobilized tokens, essentially. 2 of them. Whew. That looks like a B-level removal spell. That looks very good. Sandskitter Outrider. 3 black. Goblin Soldier common. 2/1. Menace. Okay, so 4... What else does it do? When it ETBs, it endures 2. Okay, so this is either a 4/3 Menace for 4 mana, which is fine. That's serviceable. Or it's a 2/1 and a 2/2, which... A 2/1 Menace and a 2/2 body. This feels like filler level. Like at 4 mana, I think I want a little bit more than this, than just like a 4/3 Menace. Yeah, I think you could probably do better. This looks C- territory. Like it's not the worst card in your deck, but you're hoping to not play this. Venerated Storm Stinger. 3 black. Orc Cleric uncommon. 3/3. Mobilize 1. Whenever this creature or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So the Blood Artist effect and it... Oh my. Okay, so the turn you play this, you're attacking. And you're already attacking. And any mobilized tokens automatically just drain for 1, no matter what happens. Whether they get blocked, whether they do damage, because they get sacrificed. And then it by itself also can attack. And then if it survives combat, its own token is going to drain for 1. This looks really good. This looks like a B. I'm pretty impressed. Adorned Crocodile. 4 black crocodile common. 5/3. When this creature dies, create a 2/2 black zombie druid token. Zombie druid. Okay. And then it has renew 1 black. Exile this card from your graveyard. Put just black, by the way, not 1 and a black. So for 1 mana, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Interesting. This is a card I think you're hoping, if this is in your deck, I think you're hoping to self-mill it. If I'm being honest. I think being able to just randomly just pay a black mana to get a +1/+1 counter, especially when those synergize so well with the uncommon gold cards, seems pretty good. But then, but on the front end, like a 5/3, 5 mana, terrible, and then if it dies is when you get the value. And it's going to die. It only has 3 toughness. Then you get a 2/2, then you get more value from the graveyard. So there's a lot of value in here. Like each effect is kind of underwhelming, but you put it all together on 1 card, and I think this is pretty good. Yeah, actually. So maybe this is a C+. Like maybe you're happy to put this card in your deck. Feral Deathgorger. 5 black dragon, flying death touch. 3/5. So it's 6 mana, 3/5, flying death touch. ETB, exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. Okay, so that's good. 5 toughness and death touch. So it's not the strongest attacker, right? Your 6-drop only attacking for 3, but really good blocker. It blocks a lot of the dragons and survives combat on that. And then it also is it's an omen, so the sorcery side does Dusk Sight 1/2 sorcery omen, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature, draw a card. Okay, so it's basically got cycling, but it doesn't go to your graveyard, and you get a counter on it. You get a +1/+1 counter on a creature. So very underwhelming, but in a pinch, you got to do what you got to do. So that's more of like a bailout situation. The omen side, and then the front end looks good. Like if you're in the market for a 6-drop, you could probably do better, I'm guessing, but this isn't the worst. And it is nice that you do get some ETB value, and when that's going to be good, that's going to be good. So this is also notable that like there's so much random graveyard hate that we're seeing that you can't just let your harmonized card sit in your graveyard forever and be like, aha, by turn 10 when there's nothing to do and we're both top decking, at that point I'm going to start cashing in all this graveyard value. Like, they're going to have chances to snag it ahead of time. So that's something to consider in your play patterns, I think, is, hey, there might be times when you might have a card in your hand and a card in your graveyard, you're debating which one to cast, and you might lean towards the graveyard one because otherwise they'll snipe it. What did I give this card overall? If the 3/5 body is like ends up being pretty strong, and the ETB ends up, well, it's really the ETB. Like, how valuable is that? In those matchups, this card looks like a solid C+. Otherwise, I think you can do better for 6 drops. Gurmag Rakshasha. 4 black. Hey, an actual double black casting cost. We have not seen very many double of a single color because of the multicolor format. Usually it's, a black and a green or whatever. Okay, so for 6 mana, you get a demon. This is uncommon. It's a 5/5 menace. ETB, target creature and opponent controls gets -2/-2 on a turn. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 on a turn. Okay, I can see why they made this kind of difficult to cast here in a tricolor format. That is very good. A 5/5 menace that then can just kill something and pump one of your things. Like, okay, you're gonna kill something, or you're gonna just shrink it and make combat just impossible. So this looks great. This looks like a potential B-. Like, this looks like a better 6 drop than the 6 drop we were just talking about. So that should give you some comparison there. Starting with red, Channel Dragonfire. Red, sorcery, 2 damage to any target. Sign me up. Super into a shock, even if it's sorcery speed. And why would shock be downgraded from instant to sorcery? And this is an uncommon because it has harmonized 5 red. Awesome. Yes. Solid C+, B-. Like, you're gonna put this in your deck at all times. This is great. Great value. Being able to, in the late game, snipe something, and then in the front end, like, yeah, always good to shock something, even at sorcery speed. Fleeting Effigy, 1, so just a red elemental uncommon, 2/2 haste. At the beginning of your end step, return this creature to its owner's hand. It also has pay 2 red. This creature gets +2/+0 on a turn. Okay, so for 3 mana you can attack. You can get 4 damage in. So for 4 total mana that turn, because you have to always pay the mana. Well, 1 mana red, 1 mana 2/2 haster is obviously extremely strong. You're going to get continual ETB effects if that matters in your deck, and the ability to have a random mana sink too. To just, they don't want to block it, but they kind of have to. Otherwise, they're gonna, you can pump it and do an extra couple points of damage. In an aggro deck, this looks pretty good. This looks like a C+, I think. I don't know, actually. Having to pay 1 mana every turn, every time you want to attack with this is kind of tough. Like, compare this to just, like, Savannah Lions, right? Much to one, because... maybe this isn't that good, after all. I don't know. Nah, I don't think you want to just keep this. You have to spend so much mana to keep doing this over and over again. I don't know. Why does this thing look like a Power Ranger? I'm going to say C-, actually. I think I'm off this card. Like, in an aggro deck, you'll play it, and I think there might be better things to do. Wild Ride, 1 red. Just a red. Sorcery, target creature gets +3/+0 and haste until end of turn. Okay, that's not that good. And that does have Harmonize for 4 and red. What deck wants this? This looks terrible. Like, paying an extra mana to give a creature haste and +3/+0 means you're playing off curve and you're spending a whole extra card to do that. And then the harmonized side, you're pumping a creature, but you have to tap a creature to do this. I think this is a D. This looks like a trap to me. Devoted Duelist, 1 and red. Goblin Monk, 2/1, common, haste, flurry. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Okay, this is not good. Like, it's 2/1 haster, sure. compare this to the cards where it's like every time you cast an instant sorcery, you ping them for 1. That you can usually build your deck around and like ping an opponent for 3-4 times in a game. Like how many times you can get for your flurry, and all you get is one extra damage. Plus it only has 1 toughness here. No, this. I mean, if you're in a super aggro deck and you're in the market for a 2/1 haster, then sure, be like you'll play this card and you'll be happy to draft this. I don't think these will be difficult to get. I'll just say that. So if you're the only aggro deck, you're gonna see these things table, no problem. This looks like a D in most decks. Or like a D plus, I guess, because it is a 2 power 2 drop, whatever. I'm not impressed. Fire Rim Form, and like if someone just has a 1/3, like you can't even attack anymore. So yeah, I don't think that card's very good. Fire Rim Form, 1/2 enchantment aura, flash, enchant creature. When this aura enters, enchanted creature gains first strike until end of turn, +2/+0. Okay, so for 2 mana, you get a sure strike, right? It gets first strike and a power bump, and then the +2/+0 sticks around. Sure, it's a fine combat trick if you're in for that, and it's nice that the 2/0s does stick around. So, whatever. We'll just say it's a C- combat trick. Jeskai Devotee, 1, like you'll play that some amount of the time. Plenty of your decks won't play that. Jeskai Devotee, 1 red Orc Monk common, 2/2. And this is the filter, the Jeskai filter creature card. So just a 2 mana 2/2, and then you can filter your mana. Flurry, when you cast your second spell, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Okay, so you enable some attacks with it by making it a 3/3 until end of turn. See, like this is just filler, whatever. 2 mana 2/2 with its marginal upside and some mana filtering. Molten Exhale, so the red exhale, 1 red sorcery. You may cast the spell with flash if you behold the dragon. Awesome. And it deals 4 damage target creature or planeswalker. Great. 2 mana, sorcery speed, 4 damage. You are going to play this card. And sometimes it will be an instant, which is even more insane. This looks like a B-. I'm going to be pretty happy to play this in my decks. Reverberating Summons, 1 red enchantment, uncommon. At the beginning of each combat, if you've cast 2 or more spells this turn, this enchantment becomes a 3/3 monk creature with haste in addition to other types until end of turn. And then you have the option to pay 1 in red, discard your hand, sacrifice this enchantment, draw 2 cards. I don't think you're going to have any trouble seeing these in your deck or seeing these at a draft table. I'm starting to get the feeling that the Jeskai is going to be the deck that everything has to go right for your deck to come together. And then even when it does, you still just might go 4/3 on Arena or 1/2 in draft and just like move on, or 3/4 in Arena or 3/3 in Arena or whatever. Like the fact that this is just 2 mana and then all that happens if you succeed in casting and getting Flurry is that it becomes a 3/3 turn to turn. Like great, cool. It's not. I mean, it has haste, so it can count itself on those turns. The second ability, like kind of in theory, seems good. Being able to just like randomly, oh hey, you're hellbent, draw 2 cards, but then you have to sacrifice this. But I mean, at that point, when you're hellbent, like how often are you going to get Flurry? So whatever. I'm off this card. D plus, I guess. Shock Brigade, 1 red Goblin Soldier common, 1/3 menace, mobilize 1. Okay. Like this looks like a way better 2-drop than some of those we've seen. Like the 3rd point of toughness is good on defense, it's good on offense. That it has menace, so it has some evasion, and then gives you that extra the mobilized token, so you do get 2 power that it's attacking. I like this card. This looks good. This looks like a good 2-drop. This looks like a C. Shocking Sharpshooter. And yes, this is an archer with lightning arrow. Awesome. Cool. Ride the lightning, baby. 1 red human archer, uncommon, 1/3 reach. Whenever another creature you control enters, it deals 1 damage to target opponent. Oh boy. Oh boy. All your mobilize now. Just boom, ping your opponent for 1. This is what I get terrified about this is why I've been so scared of Mobilize. You got to this is a lightning rod. Haha. You got to kill this thing because they're just going to get so much value. Like they play a creature, drain you for 1. That creature attacks, mobilizes for 1, 2, or heaven forbid 3, and you just take another 3 damage automatically before dealing with combat stuff. This card looks great. This looks like a B. This card looks very good and something that will pull you into the mobilized deck. Sunset Strike Master, 1 red uncommon human monk, 3/1. Tap it, add a red. Okay. Pay 2 in red, tap it, sacrifices creature, deals 6 damage to target creature with flying. So the opposite of a roast. It's your dragon sniper. This looks great. The 1 toughness obviously is sketchy, but the fact that this is like just a red mana dork seems cool. It can attack it's really flexible. Like it attacks for 3 if you have a good attack, which won't happen all the time, but it can happen in the early game, but in the early games when you're more likely to want to use that extra mana to get ahead on board. So that's more primarily where this is, and you never want your mana dorks to have 1 toughness. You'd rather have a lower toughness and lower power and higher toughness. But then the ability to just cash this thing in and kill one of their dragons for 3 mana. This card seems good. This looks like a C plus B minus territory. Twin Bolt. 1 red, instant. Twin Bolt deals 2 damage, divided as you choose among 1 or 2 targets. Okay, so Twin Bolt being in the format means you cannot play more than 1 X1 in your deck. Like, if you ever get blown out, just you cast 2 different X1s and you paid 2 or mana each, or you paid 4 or 5 total mana, and they just blow you out both in mana and card advantage. Like, good luck, man. That's going to be awful. I'm not going to be playing a lot of X1s. Between this and all the instant speed, create 2 token effects that we've seen, yeah, I think X1s are pretty fragile in this format. This card looks good. This is a solid C. You're going to play this in your decks. Overwhelming Surge. 2... And notably, this can also just be like a 2 mana shock, because it can do both points of damage to 1 target. Overwhelming Surge, 2/1 instant, choose 1 or both. It deals 3 damage to target creature or destroy target non-creature artifact. This is an uncommon. Okay, the fact that you can do both is really what makes this card stand out. So will there be artifacts that are good? We will see if that's the case. If if non-creature artifacts are good, you're going to want to play this card. 3 mana for 3 damage to target is like underwhelming. Haha, not intentional. That's Overwhelming Surge. Well, it's underwhelming for what it can do, unless you can get both halves. In that case, this card looks great. Otherwise, I'd rather just play my own 3-drop instead of playing this and find another piece of removal. Rescue Leopard, 2 red, cat, common, 4/2. Whenever this creature becomes tapped, you may discard a card if you do draw cards. So you can rummage. My first instinct is a 3 mana 4/2 that has to attack to get value. Whatever. How about a 3 mana 4/2 that lets you cast all your harmonized spells for like 1 or 2 mana? Huh? That also gives you some value, some rummage value. I'm in the market for that. So in Teamer, that allows you, because again, so this one, yeah, in Teamer this looks good. I like this card. This looks like a C plus for Teamer. And then other than that, a 4/2 that gives you some rummage value. That's still good in an aggressive deck. Like it's good threat, right? And you're gonna be just bumping out threat after threat after threat. So and this helps you not get flooded. Even if you only get it activated once, you discard a land and draw another card in your aggro deck, and they have to deal with the 4 power, which not crazy to deal with 2 toughness, but yeah, this card looks like a above average 3-drop, I think, with all the things it can do. Especially in a Teamer Harmonized deck where you're just pumping out Harmonized spells for 1 mana with this thing. That looks great. So we'll say that's a C plus, I think, in Teamer. Seize Opportunity. 2/1 instant common. Choose 1. Exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play those cards. Oh, nice. You get to play both of them. Okay. Up to 2 target creatures get +2/+1 until end of turn. That's a pretty big game. Giving the extra toughness bonus is pretty powerful. So Can help you survive what your opponent would think would be a favorable would be a trade. Can let you trade up. Yeah, I mean this looks great in a go wide, and then like your fail case in that is exile it and exile, or excuse me, exile your top two cards and play them the next turn. If for whatever reason you can't, I think this is looking at this card, you want to do the second mode first, more often than not, and then this because this is just like a bad divination, right? Like it's not like, oh my gosh, the top side is so good, that is a bailout, or quick study since it's instant, I guess, but seems like a pretty good combat trick. So I'm going to say this is a C, like a pretty good combat trick that can have some good scenarios, and then especially spread it across two creatures, like can really make blocking really difficult, and like you can really have some really blowout combats with this, and then a nice failsafe of like whatever that's not working out, I need to exile or I need to dig deeper into my deck, and try to find whatever answer you're looking for or threat you're looking for. So yeah, this looks like maybe a C plus, like above average. Can be pretty good. But again, you're not gonna. It's a common, and no deck's gonna want more than one copy of those, I don't think. So, I mean, maybe I guess since it has the failsafe, you put two copies in, but I think you'll be able to get those no problem. Underfoot underdogs, and not every red deck is gonna want that either. So I think you're gonna have no problem seeing those, even if it's a good card. Underfoot underdogs, 2 red goblin warrior, common 1/2. ETB, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token, and like this is not mobilized, this is just a goblin token. And then it has pay 1, tap, target creature you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. All this, you're getting 2/3 worth of stats across 2 bodies for 3 mana, and then you have to pay a mana in order to make something unblockable, like something small unblockable. I think you can do better than this. Yeah, I think this is C minus territory, maybe D plus. Like I don't think I want to play this card. Unsparring Boltcaster, 2 red orc wizard, uncommon, 3/3. ETB, 5 damage to target creature an opponent controls that was dealt damage this turn. Okay. So it's not just Ravenous Chupacabra. Okay, so again, what this is it's again punishing people for blocking the mobilized tokens, and that's just insane. Like, imagine you have you're on the play and you're doing well or whatever, and like your opponent attacks with a mobilize and you block it with your 3/3. You block your mobilized token because you can't block for whatever reason you can't block the actual attacking creature. And then this just comes in and just blows it up. And it's still a 3 mana 3/3. I think the ceiling on this is really high. The floor is kind of low, but like not terribly low. Like a 3 mana 3/3, yes, obviously we can do better than that, but with such a high upside and with the synergies of how often, like this is going to have a target so often. There's going to be so many times. Like that's the thing is these types of effects, normally it's like how often do you have a target for this? Not very often. But with Mobilize as a mechanic, you're going to have targets for this all the time where there's a surviving creature that was dealt damage. So these type of assassin effects that we've seen, we see plenty of times before. Usually it's just like, it's really difficult to cast. It's tricky. When am I actually going to be able to do it? All the freaking time, you're going to have targets for this. This looks like a B minus, like because I'm only saying B minus because sometimes it's just going to be a 3 mana 3/3, and that's not that great. But boy, is the upside there. And whenever that happens, it's just going to be a blowout to just get a 3 mana 3/3 that just destroys something. Zergo's Vanguard. So maybe that is just a B. It's at such a high ceiling, and it's going to happen a lot. Zergo's Vanguard. 2 red, dog soldier, uncommon, star 3, mobilize 1. This creature's power is equal to the number of creatures you control. Okay, so it's a 1 mana 1/3 by itself, with mobilize 1. So then it's when it's attacking, it attacks as a 2/3 by itself. Potentially can be attacking for a lot more than that. I don't know. I'm a little great in the mobilized deck. I think the mobilized deck will probably just take any card that has mobilize on it, and your opponent's just going to be like, ugh, another one, ugh, another one, ugh, another one. And even if they're trading off in combat, they're just you're getting nickel and dimed with all those 1 points of damage, and it's just really adding up. So mobilized deck, I think, is definitely going to want this, and it's going to be like a C plus. It's going to perform well. It's it's going to trade with a lot of things. It easily is going to have 3 or 4 power, and notably, it's the number of creatures you control, not the number of attacking creatures or anything. And then in a non-mobilized deck, like I'm not playing this card. I don't think. Some of the other cards, like yeah, you'd play it in non-mobilized. This one, I don't think I would. Equilibrium Adept, 3/1 Dog Monk, awesome. Uncommon. 2/4 ETBs. Exile the top card of your library until the next turn. You may play that card. Flurry. Whenever you cast your second spell, this creature gains double strike until end of turn. Okay, so a 4-mana 2/4 that kind of draws you a card the way a red decks draw cards. That's awesome. I like that. And then sometimes it'll gain double strike, so it'll kind of attack as a 4/4. This card looks good. This looks like a C plus card. Meticulous Artisan, 3 red. Jin Artificer, common, 3/3 with prowess. And when ETBs create a treasure token. Oh, nice. Random. Okay, we haven't seen. So 4 mana for a 3/3 prowess. The problem with this is you're paying 4 mana and you still have to cast the non-creature spell to then make it a 4 mana 4/4, which isn't even that great. And then yeah, you do get a treasure token, which is like nice because you got to. Because without that, this card seems like a total stinker. Like what? Like in the dream scenario, you trigger prowess twice, and it's a 5/5 for 4 mana, and that happens once in a while, like not even once a game. No, this card looks bad. I'm gonna say D plus on this. Summit Intimidator, 3/1 Yeti. All right, it wouldn't be Tarkir without our Yeti. It's a 4/3 reach. This creature, when it enters, target creature can't be blocked this turn. Oh, awesome. Okay, so 4 mana, 4/3 reach, and then gives you evasion. Target creature can't. Oh, excuse me. Target creature can't block this turn. That makes more sense. Okay, that's usually what Ray can do. Okay, so gets their biggest blocker out of the way for a turn, and then making combat just miserable for your opponents. And then it's still a 4/3 body with reach on the boot, so we can also trade with their dragons. This card looks good. This looks like a little bit above filler level. C plus. War Effort. 3 red enchantment. Creatures you control get uncommon. Creatures you control get +1/+0. Whenever you attack, you essentially mobilize 1. Okay, so assuming you already have a board presence, this is like your Anthem effect, right? It gives everything +1/+0 for 4 mana, which is a lot, but it sticks around. And then every turn, including the turn you play it, because just whenever you attack, it creates a 2/1. Is that actually good? In the Go Wide deck? Maybe. Like, that's a lot of power every turn, right? Like, someone attacks, if someone's attacking you with 2 or 3 creatures, let's say 3 creatures, plus they get the extra 1 from this, that's 4 extra power that turn that your opponent wasn't necessarily expecting to deal with. And an extra body. Yeah, maybe this card's good. Maybe this card's like secretly like a B- or something. Interesting in the Go Wide deck. We'll see. Breaching Dragonstorm, 4 red enchantment. ETB, uncommon of course. ETB, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast it without paying its mana cost if its mana value is 8 or less. If you don't, put that card into your hand. And then when a dragon enters, you return it to the battlefield. Or return this to your owner's hand. Okay, so worst case scenario is like you play this and it's 5-drop and you exile like a 2-drop. And you get to play that card, but for some reason you don't want to, like if it's like a combat trick or something, you just draw it. So you're not going to be playing this in your aggro decks, that's for sure. Like definitely not. This is going in your slower teamer decks. Is this what you want to be doing for your 5-drop? Because like sure, you could exile your 6-drop. Awesome. You're living the dream. And your 6-drop is a dragon. So then you just you pay 5 mana, you get a dragon, and you get this back into your hand. Like, okay, super high, pie in the sky dreams, great. But 5 mana to get a 2 or a 3 mana card, which most of your deck, right? Like your mana value, you think of your mana curve, it's going to be lower. So on average, you're going to be down on mana for this. And then sometimes you won't even be able to cast it, so then you're super down on mana. This card looks like a stinker. This card looks like a trap with super cool, oh my gosh, just imagine scenarios. Like, this card will win screenshots and lose games. You know what I mean? Like, once in a while, this card's going to be phenomenal. Most of the time, it's going to be terrible. So I'm going to put this in the D category. Iridescent Tiger, 4 red, uncommon, cat, 3/4. When it enters, if you cast it, add Wooburg. Ooh. I like this. Hey, something for your flurry. A way to actually cast 2 spells in a turn. I don't know, but because 5 mana for a 3/4 is pretty bad. But you kind of get it for free, but not until turn 5. Huh. Random that it makes Wooburg out of all the mana combinations, but cool, I guess. So, dude, slam this in your 5-color deck and catch up, because your 5-color deck, you're behind on board. Boom, you get a 3/4 body and then cast something else too. So you get that major tempo swing. Yeah, I think this is gonna be put this in your 5-color soups. Other than that, I don't know how good this card is. It seems kind of bad. Narset's Rebuke, 4 red, instant, common, 5 damage, target creature, add Jeskai mana. If this creature would die, exile it instead. Okay, so maybe Flurry actually has a thing going for it. Again, this is a way to enable Flurry to make it easier. This is effectively a 2-drop. Note that the mana does not stick around. So sometimes when this effect is done, the mana will stick around until the end of turn. It won't dissolve, or it won't leave your mana pool at the end of your phases and steps. Not the case for this. Exiling is great, so let's just look at this for that. 5 damage, instant, exile that creature. For 5 mana, that's fine. You'll play that some amount of the time. If you ever get to utilize the additional mana, like, this card becomes just great. And I see myself most commonly using that in the mana sink scenario. Like, I think it's gonna be kind of difficult to be able to cast your to cast a second spell at instant speed. So you're going to be doing this as a sorcery speed removal to then utilize the mana, in which case it's really good. So I'm going to say this card is a C+ overall. And sometimes it's going to outperform, but I think it's going to be kind of tricky to use. And like 5 mana for 5 damage exile is good, but not blow your mind. So I'll say C+. I think it's better than your average card with some high potential, but it's not going to work out every time. Shriek-Storm Feral, 4 red dragon common, flying haste. It's 3/3 flying haste, and then it has bad fire breathing, so 1 and red to give it +1/+0 until end turn. Okay, 5-drop 3/3 flying haste, not the worst. And then it has flush out as its omen, which is 1 and red. Discard a card. If you do, draw 2 cards. Okay, so just Tormenting Voice. I think if you're in the market for the Tormenting Voice, I'd play this card, and then sometimes you'll play this as the dragon. Because I think the dragon side of this card is the weaker half. And yeah, I mean, Tormenting Voice can be a good card, and it can help you with doing the flurry thing. So I think you'll put this in your flurry decks, and sometimes, hey, I drew it, and I wanted the dragon, and I attacked for 3, the next turn I attacked and pumped and attacked for 5, and won the game or whatever. So, yeah, I think this is just a C-level Tormenting Voice with some upside, with a lot of upside, but that's how I view this card. Green, what we've all been waiting for. And one thing I'll note is that while we're going through the gold cards, I was all about, of course, Abzan and then Sultai and Temur, which I was most excited for. So all the green decks. So of course I'm excited to see what the green the green cards are. But more than that, The red and black early cards, like low mana curve cards, only had removal. I feel like that would go into those decks. Like it didn't have really good defensive creatures, and things like that. So I feel like for your red and black, for if you're looking to do Sultai or Teamer, those cards are not gonna. They're gonna. I feel like those colors are going to have your late power stuff and your removal. But other than that, it didn't look like I was getting. And then your gold cards is where all the value is going to be coming from those colors. I didn't see a ton of early cards that I'm excited to play in those colors outside of the removal suite. So green is going to be where it's at. If green early cards are looking good, that's going to really help set up, so you don't fall behind on board, that you can get a board presence and develop that as you power yourself into the late game. That all being said, this card on the screen, it's doing it for me, guys. It's doing it for me. Dragon Sniper, green, human archer, uncommon, 1/1, vigilance, reach, death touch. Sign me up. That's awesome. Like all those keywords on a death toucher. Anytime you get a 1/1 death toucher, that's great. That's always like a good roadblock. It's good. It helps slow down a format. It makes attacking really difficult for your opponents. And then the fact that it has reach, again, is of course phenomenal. Like they have to deal with this. This is a must answer, and it's only 1 drop, so you're never going to lose on mana. And then a vigilance, so once in a while, hey, you'll sneak in for an attack, or like if you don't care about trading it off because they only have 1 blocker or 2 blockers and you're happy to trade with either one of those, then great, you can offer the trade. Or of course, if they don't have any creatures on the battlefield, then hey, you sneak in for a damage, but you don't lose any value to blocking haste creatures. I'm all about this card. This is what I want for a 1 toughness card. So like with Twin Bolt in the format. Oh, and remember that when you are attacking, right, about the intruder alert cards, that this is not always a free attack. If they have open mana, just don't attack. It's not worth trading this for a 1/1 token. That's half a card. Like, just don't do it. Especially in your green deck, you're gonna get to the late game. You're gonna have powerful stuff. So when you think you have a free attack, don't get blown out by trading this with a token and half a card. That being said, like with Twin Bolt in the format, that's where I want to be playing. I don't really want to be playing a bunch of X1s. Like I want this to be my X1, because then you are up in mana. Like they have to trade, and yeah, they get the extra point of damage to your face. But this card looks great. This is what I want to do for my 1 toughness cards. This looks like a definitely a C+, maybe even B- potentially. Like it could just be really important for your decks to help bring them together and get you to the late game. Snakeskin Veil, green, instant, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, it gains hexproof until end of turn. So this card is always good. Notably, it's even much better in this set where there's so much that relies on counter synergies. So I'm going to be pretty bullish on this card. I think you're pretty much never going to cut this card from your deck when you can snag a copy. Like you may even possibly play 2 if you have room for it. If I don't know if you will have room in your deck for it, but this card looks like it's going to perform really well, as it always does, but especially with extra synergy. So we'll say B- because of all the synergies with 1/1 counters. Antioch Wayfarer, 1 green, dog scout, common, 1/1. Okay. What does it do? ETB, mill 3. You may put a land card from among the milled cards into your hand. If you don't, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Yes, you're going to be playing this in all your green decks. You're going to be playing this because no matter what, like it's a Satyr Wayfinder in a way where you only get 3 cards, and you can only get a land card from those milled cards. So you're going to miss some amount of the time, whatever it is, 20% of the time or whatever you'll miss. I don't know the actual math, but and then you get a +1/+1 counter. So you're getting the self mill. Sometimes you're getting value, and you're getting a 2 for 1, and then if you don't, you get a 1/1 counter, which again synergizes, so it's more than just a 2/2. Like a 1/1 with a 1/1 counter is definitely more than a 2/2, right? Yeah, this card looks good. Solid C+. You're gonna put this in pretty much all your green decks. Dragon Brood's Relic, 1 green artifact, uncommon. Tap an untapped creature you control. Add 1 mana of any color. Okay, so that's not good. But it is mana fixing. It requires a lot because you have to tap a creature in order to get your mana. unless you have some tokens lying around doing nothing. And like this doesn't help. This does not work with mobilized tokens because those enter the battlefield tapped and attacking. So even for instance, it doesn't work. So this is going to be more of like if you have a random endure token, right, a random 1/1 spirit, then you use that ideally. What else can this card do? 3 Wooburg. Sacrifice this artifact. Create a 4/4 dragon creature token that's named Reliquary Dragon. That's all colors. It has flying, lifelink, ETB, 3 damage to any target. Activate as a sorcery. Okay, so for 8 mana, and notably, you do not have to tap this artifact to sacrifice the second ability. So yes, you can use it to create your mana of whatever color you're missing, because it does require Wooburg, and then you can get a 4/4 that does a lot, like flying, lifelink, and kills something, kills a 3 toughness creature. That's pretty good. For essentially, we'll just say for 7 mana. I don't know. I'll put this. You can put this in your 4 color soups, because your 4 or 5 color soups. And as long as you have the tokens or the creatures also to support it, if you have a couple things that endure and make you some extra bodies that you can afford the extra body to help you ramp. Otherwise, this is gonna be really tough to ever make you mana in the early game, which is when you want it to be helping you, right? You take the turn off to play this, and then it doesn't always make you mana every turn. Pie in the sky. This is pie in the sky. I don't think this is going to be consistently good. I think more often than not, you're going to want to cut this card from your deck. Once in a while, it'll be great, and in those cases, yes, this card will look good. It'll perform probably like a B- if you can consistently make mana with it, and then pop it off for a great effect in the late game. But I think more often than not, you're probably gonna. My guess is the game in hand win rate with this card is going to be very low. Like more often than not, you draw this card and you're more likely to lose than win. So I'm off this card, probably like a D+. I think it's not good. D, just bad. Formation Breaker, 1 green, beast uncommon, 2/1. This creature or creatures with power less than this creature's power can't block it. As long as you control a creature with a counter on it, this gets +1/+2. Okay, so by itself, 2/1 evasion, so it doesn't get blocked by the 1/1 tokens. As long as any creature you control has a counter, it's a 2 mana 3/3, so with some evasion. With everything that I've said about the 1 toughness creatures, I don't know. Yes, this is nice that you won't get blown out when you're attacking because 1 toughness creatures can't block it. But all this just for maybe getting a 2 mana 3/3 with some evasion, some pseudo evasion to avoid getting chump blocked. I don't know. If someone ever twin bolts this and let's say you get this and the dragon sniper and someone twin bolts you, gosh, no. I think I'm just a little too skeptical to play this card because the ceiling's just not that high and the floor is pretty low. I think this card's a C-. Sometimes it'll be good, but you're already getting benefits for having counters on your creatures. That's already a good thing to be doing. So this isn't oh my gosh, insane synergy. It's just a minor upside of maybe you get a 2 mana 3/3. Heritage Reclamation, 1 and green, instant, choose 1, destroy target artifact. Okay, so there goes, that knocks out the relic, the dragon relic. So now even in the pie in the sky dream decks where this works, they can just blow it up for 2 mana at some point. So or destroys an enchantment, or it has exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard, draw a card. Good. Okay, awesome. You're gonna play this in your deck. This is gonna be a C. You're gonna be totally fine playing this. To have a naturalize with, usually we see these days the naturalize always has some type of buyout. In this case, some type of effectively a cycling effect. And in this case, cycle this for 2 mana and exile a card in the opponent's graveyard that is a creature that can come back or a Harmonize spell. Yeah, this looks good. I think this is just going to be a card you're going to want to play a copy of. No problem playing the first copy of that. Looks like a solid CC+. Piercing Exhale. And again, with I think most of the Dragonstorms are good. So we know there's a cycle of enchantments where 4 of the 5 are playable and 3 are probably really good. So Piercing Exhale, 1 green, instant. You may behold a dragon. What does the card do? So this is the final exhale. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker. Okay, so prey upon, right? Your instant bite down. And then if you beheld a dragon, surveil 2. Ooh, 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 sign me up. Yes, please. I like this card a lot. Instant speed prey upon is great, or instant speed bite down, whatever. So your prey upon effects, your prey upon cards are always good. And then, being instant is really important for that effect, just because you're so much less likely to get 2 for 1. It's solid green removal, and then you can surveil 2. Like surveil 2 is like almost drawing a card. I mean, not really, but like it's definitely good. And yeah, this card looks great. This looks like a B. I'm going to be like I could easily see pack 1 picking one, this card, especially if you're forcing green or green ends up being the best. Like green's a really good color. Yeah, I'm going to snag this card. Pack 1 pick one. I think no problem doing that. Sarkhan's Resolve. 1 green, instant. Choose 1. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn, or destroy target creature with flying. Oh, nice. Okay. So, being able to clip wings in a set with a bunch of dragons, or a 2 mana giant growth. This looks good. I think you're gonna always have a thing to do. These are 2 totally different effects, which means you're more likely to find a scenario where one of them works. The clip wings is great. The giant growth is serviceable. So I think you're most likely going to play a copy of this in a lot of your decks. Like you can find room for this. So all that being said, it's still just like it is probably you'd also see cutting this sometimes potentially, especially like this is pretty bad against any of those aggro decks because they don't have a ton of flyers. They're not focused on that. So maybe this is not automatic. Like, oh, I'll definitely include this. So maybe it's a C-. Yeah. I was getting pretty hyped about that card. Thinking more about it. C-. You'll cut it sometimes for sure. Soultide Devotee. 1 green. Zombie, Snake, Druid, Common. 2/1. Death Touch. And then the Soultide filtering. I'm not going to repeat myself for the 15th time about X1s. It's nice that this is Death Touch. You only have so many you can only play so many X1s in your deck without just getting destroyed. So play this if you need to filter mana. Synchronized Charge. 1 green sorcery. Distribute 2 +1/+1 counters among up to 1 or 2 target creatures you control. Creatures you control with counters of any type on them gain vigilance and trample until end of turn. And then it has Harmonize as well for 4 and a green. Okay. So this could swing. I mean, it's not like an overrun. It's just 2 power total that you're getting, but you are getting vigilance out of the deal, and of course trample. No, this card stinks. This is a bad overrun, and obviously it's a lot cheaper, but it's also a lot worse. And yes, you can play it twice, but just doing something not that good twice doesn't make it great. I'm going to say this is a D+. Traveling Botanist. 1 green. Dog Scout. Uncommon. 2/3. When it becomes tapped, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. If you don't, put a card into your hand. You may put it into your graveyard. Okay, awesome. A 2 mana 2/3 that anytime it becomes tapped. So again, with Harmonize, you're tapping this more often than not. More often than just attacking. And then sometimes it's drawing you a card, but it's always giving you card selection. Because it says you may put it into your graveyard. So it's like super surveil. It's explore, right? But you don't have to reveal it. Yeah, because you just look at it. Awesome. A 2 mana 2/3 that anytime it comes tapped explores. Yes. This looks like a solid C+. Happy to put this card. Probably never cutting it. So maybe B- even. Nah, B- is strong, but great card. Undergrowth Leopard. 1 green. Cat. Common 2/2. Vigilance. Pay 1 mana, sacrifice this creature, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Okay, see, like this is a way better 2-drop that we've seen, right? Like if you're gonna pay 2 mana and a 2/2, like for a Grizzly Bears, you want it to be doing some extra stuff in today's day and age. And we've seen some 2-drops that have just been mediocre. I think I've been convincing myself, like, oh, I guess maybe it's good. Like, this is what you want out of a 2-drop, right? You want it to just whatever. It's serviceable. It does its thing. But then it does a bunch more. Like it has vigilance, so you can get some attacks in, but not be vulnerable to hasty attacks. You can, and then it's like an unnaturalized effect. So anytime you need to cast a Dragonstorm or you need to kill a Dragonstorm or whatever, you can. So very happy to play this card. This is much better. This is like a solid C for your 2-drops versus a lot of the cards we've seen. Attuned Hunter. Okay, we're finally getting to the 3-drops. We just covered a ton of cards that were all 1-drops, and a couple of them were, combat tricks. But there's a lot of cheap cards in red and green, in green. Attuned Hunter, 2 green, Human Ranger, uncommon, 3/3, trample. Whenever one or more cards leaves your graveyard during your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Awesome. Okay, like. Again, this is where green is starting to shine. So it's 3 mana for a 3/3 with trample is fine. Like the fact that it has trample is much better than a 3 mana 3/3 without trample. And the fact that if you trigger this once, which you're gonna want to do, like you're actively going to want to be removing cards from your graveyard because you're getting awesome value for doing this. And this becomes a 4/4, and then a 5/5 if you do it again. Great, C+. Champion of Dasan, 2 green. Human Warrior, common, 4/2, trample. Okay, so we've seen this before, right? Haven't we seen 3 mana 4/2s? And then it has renew, 1 green, exile this card from your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter and a trample counter on target creature. Activate as a sorcery. Great. So if you have that one creature that cares, is that black creature that returns and gets it becomes a 6/6 when you have 3 different types of counters. Here you go. This is it. That's all you need. You just need that card and this card because that has the finality counter and this puts 2 different types of counters on it. Yeah, like this looks good. You're getting in, you're attacking, you're going to trade this off. You're going to trade it off with their 2-drop or their 3-drop. But you'll get in a point or 2 of damage and then you can give something else +1/+1 and trample later in the game. This is the type of card you want because you're probably more happy just milling this card over. But if you play it, it's not the end of the world. So a good solid C that you're happy with. Knockout Maneuver. What is going on in this art? Oh, okay. They have him in a headlock. I see. It looked like that was weird looking. So cool. Some wrestling happening, and someone's about to just get absolutely body slammed onto their dome, and their neck probably broken. So Knockout Maneuver it is. 2 green, sorcery, uncommon. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Then it deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. Okay, so a 3 mana sorcery speed bite, not that good. +1, getting in at a +1/+1 counter. If you're doing a lot of things with counters, if you're an Abzan, I think this card is much better. And you're doing the Abzan thing with the counters and getting all the synergy. Otherwise, in your average green deck, if you're in one of the other green decks, I think you can do better than this. And you have red and you have black in the other colors. So I think you will do better than this. You won't need them. So I think you're only playing this card if you have ways to synergize with it. Otherwise, you can just get better removal. Like in a pinch, if you're really desperate for removal, you can grab this card. I think this card looks better on surface. Like, oh, it's an uncommon, it's removal. There's plenty of times where I'm like, it's removal, it's uncommon, like it's got to be great, and I'm just gonna slam that in my deck. But I think this card is probably a C-, and a card you more often want to play in your Absent decks than anywhere else. Crotique Nest Guard, 2/1 insect. Crazy looking art here. 4/4 defender, and you can pay 2 and a green, and you can attack as though it didn't have defender this turn. Okay, so talk about a defensive card. 3 mana for a 4/4 defender. Like, all right, the ground is locked up, and it's going to trade up with all those 4 mana 4/4s we've seen. So, a good defensive card, solid C card. Roamer's Routine, 2 green sorcery. Search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped. Okay, so explosive vegetation, or not explosive vegetation, whatever, rampant growth, then harmonize for 4 and a green. Awesome piece of fixing. This looks good. If the format is slow enough where you can take off turn 3 to do this, then you can get your mana fixed and ramped, and then the fact that you could do this again later at your convenience for 1 mana, whew. Like, granted, by the time you can do this the second time, it's not going to be as needed. You're kind of just like deck thinning at that point. But if you have a 4-color deck, like, you don't want to be grabbing your 4th splash color the first time around. Typically, right? You're going to be wanting to grab your 3rd color. So, 4 colors deck. This is like you have to have a copy of this for your 4-color deck to work, I think. Yeah, this looks like a great piece of fixing. A good card. I'm gonna say this is like a C plus. If the format's slow enough, and we're dirtling around enough, you're gonna want this actively. Sage of the Fang. Cool. This card, Lorna Shore winner, dude. This guy's freaking metal. This Sage surrounded by snakes, man. Awesome. 2 green, human druid. Uncommon 2/2. ETB, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. And then, so by itself, it's just the floor here is it's a 3/3 with the one of it being a +1/+1, one of those being +1/+1 counter. And then what else does it have? It says renew, exile this card from your graveyard. Renew 3/1 green, so 4 mana. It's getting late. Can you tell? Struggling to read this card. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, then double the number of +1/+1 counters on that creature. Activate as a sorcery. Awesome. Okay, so great renew card. At minimum, you're putting 2 +1/+1 counters on something, or if it already had a counter on it, then you're now for 4 mana adding. You're net adding 3, right? Because I had 1 already, and then you add another one and double it, so you get up to 4. Cool. Looks great. You're gonna play this. You're gonna play this card. It's a 3 mana 3/3 that synergizes and adds extra value from your graveyard. Great mana sink to break these board stalls that I think are going to be happening a lot in these green deck mirrors. So yeah, C plus I'd say. Encroaching Dragonstorm. All right, the final Dragonstorm. 3 green. ETB, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them on the battlefield tapped, and then when a dragon enters, bounce this to your hand. Okay, so here you go. Here's your explosive vegetation, and which is going to be great. It's going to fix your mana, fix your colors, and then if you ever get to bounce this, like maybe you just play it again later, and just super ramp, and then I think because of the heavy mana sinks, there's going to be more reason to play this again. Because like a lot of times you're like, you don't even necessarily want to play explosive vegetation twice in a game. You just don't want to take 2 turns off to do that. But with all the mana sinks, and you can do this like at your convenience later, and then, hey, like whatever, you're going to thin out your deck late in the game. And because like this pulls out 4 lands if you play this twice. That's a lot of lands being removed from your deck. You're thinning out your deck, and then have all that mana for all your graveyard shenanigans and mana sinks. So I'm going to say this card is if explosive vegetation is good, this is a better version of it, so it's going to be a C+. Rainveil Rejuvenator, 3 green, Elephant Druid, uncommon, 2/4, ETB. You may mill 3 cards. Always nice to have this be a may. And then what does it do? Also tap. Add an amount of green equal to this creature's power. Awesome. So 4 mana for a 2/4. Underwhelming, obviously. And then it mills for 3, which is great. You need these self-mill cards. And then it's a mana dork to get you at least 2 green. If you ever put a counter on this, give yourself 3 or 4 green. Oh, awesome. So, yeah, you're going to want to play this card. This looks like honestly, like, maybe it might even play out like a B-. Like, the self-mill and the mana ramp, like, doing all that on a 4-drop is kind of... Maybe that's not where you want to be, but these definitely do good things. It's just whether or not doing this on turn 4 ends up being good, which I think it will be. Like I think this will be. You're giving yourself the graveyard value. You're giving yourself mana sinks, and then you have the mana to do it. You're right. So, yeah, I like this card. I think it's going to be a B-. I think it's a good card. Right of Renewal, 3 green. Sorcery, uncommon. Return up to 2 target permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. Target player shuffles up to 4 target cards from their graveyard into their library. Exile Right of Renewal. Okay, so when I see this card, I think in playtesting, there were a lot of green board stalls. At least that's what I'm hoping for, with a lot of people doing graveyard shenanigans. And they said, how can we break the board stall? And that's what this is. This is absolutely going to shatter a board stall. Get your two best threats back, and then get rid of your opponent's graveyard value. Or if you're worried about if this game's just going so long, you can do it to yourself and shuffle like 4 whatever random cards back into your library, so you don't get decked and your opponent gets decked first. So this is definitely a board stall break, because 4 mana to return 2 permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand is pretty expensive. Like, it's not terrible, but it's expensive. Yeah, I think this card's gonna be necessary. I think you're naturally gonna want to put this into your decks to avoid any of those scenarios here. So decking yourself or getting overrun by graveyard value, or just getting value back yourself. So all that put together, I'd say this is probably going to be a good C+ card, maybe even B-. Like, this card just might be really good. In green mirrors, I think it's going to be excellent. Sagu Pummeler, 3 green, beast, common, 4/4 reach. Another 4 mana 4/4 with renew. Exile this card, renew 4 green, and then put 2+1/+1 counters and a reach counter onto target creature. Activate as a sorcery. Okay, so 4 mana 4/4 reach. Solid. You're going to trade up by trading. The fact that this has reach really makes a difference in this set. Being able to trade with dragons, and then being able to do it again and put something else, giving something else +2/+2 in reach. Awesome. This card looks really good. This card looks like a solid C+. You're going to be happy to pick this card probably earlier than, this could be you could easily see picking this in the first half of a pack. Trade Route Envoy, 3 green, dog soldier, 4/3 common. ETB, draw a card if you control a creature with a counter on it. If you don't draw a card this way, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Okay, so 4 mana 4/3 draws a card. Great. I am absolutely going to play as many of those as I can get my hands on. And then if you don't do that, you get +1/+1 counters with a 5/4, 5 mana 5/4 with counter synergy stuff. Awesome. I think this card's going to be really good. I think that there's so many counters floating around. We're seeing so many just random cards, right? Where like that one snake druid guy, the metal looking guy who was it was a 3/3, but actually it was a 2/2 with a +1/+1 counter, or you could move the +1/+1 counter somewhere else. Like, that's all you need. You play that, then you play this, and boom, you draw yourself a card. There's so many 1/1 counters floating around. I think you're going to draw a card pretty often, and then if not, then hey, you're getting a 1/1 counter on this guy and making it a 5/4. So this looks like a solid C+, B-. B-. Like, I'm gonna draft these as much as I can and just play them. Disruptive. Oh, we already played Disruptive Broodstorm. We already saw this. Inspired Vanguard, 4 green, human soldier, uncommon, 3/2 ETB, or attacks. It endures 2. Ooh-wee. Okay. So that means this thing for 5 mana, if you give it counters both times, it enters and it becomes a 5/4, and then it attacks as a 7/6. It doesn't have trample or anything or any evasion, but 5 mana attacks as a 7/6. And if they don't answer it, you're going to do it again. Or like maybe after that, then when it attacks the second time, you start giving yourself 2/2s because you're attacking with a 7/6 with no trample. So what's the difference between attacking with a 7/6 and a 9/8? Probably not very common, but yeah, this card looks good. This looks like a potential B- card. I guess like on defense, it's not that great necessarily because it is just. Okay. Playing this is just a 5/4 on defense, 5 mana, underwhelming. You're gonna want to hopefully do more for that for your defensive 5-drop. But if you need to go wide and you make 2 different creatures, both of whom have 2 toughness, that's great. So going wide defensively, this card looks a little bit better. And then again, it can attack and give yourself another. It can replace itself on defense, right? Because it attacks and you put a 2/2 on the battlefield and you trade off, or you attack and just pump it and make it attacking as a 5/4, and you already have a 2/2 background in the back. So this card looks good. This card looks like a potential potential B minus. Maybe I'm thinking too pie in the sky, like dream scenarios here, but there's definitely an underwhelming side for sure. When you need a big body on defense and you just get a 5 mana 5/4, but I can see this. I can see this hard card. That's not the worst floor in the world when the ceiling is pretty high. Segu Wildling, 4 green dragon, 3/3 common, flying. ETBs gain 3 life. Awesome. Okay. And then Roost Seek, green sorcery omen. Search your library for a basic land card to put it into your hand, then shuffle. Okay, awesome. Yep. I get to play this card. It does everything you want to do. It goes and it fixes your mana early on. All right, it goes and gets you your land that you need, and then the bailout side of that is a 5-drop 3/3 flyer that gains 3 life. Like, that's great. The gaining, I'm always gonna be excited to gain life. I feel like in a deck this format, and be able to do that in a main deckable way. Looks great. Dusiat Earth, whatever that Dusiat, I don't know what that word is. Earth Carver, 5 green, Elephant Druid, 4/4 reach, ETB endures 3. Okay, so it's for 6 mana. You're getting 7 power and toughness worth of stats. It's either across 2 different bodies or 1 body with +1/+1 counters and the synergy there. Notably, this is a 6-drop that doesn't gain you life. That would be nice. You always like that ETB, but still a 6-drop with a strong ETB, a lot of power and toughness, a keyword that's going to be relevant. You think about that, like, oh, you're facing down some dragons. You're like, okay, well, I'm just going to play a 4/4 reach and then have a 3/3 left over for my troubles, and the 4/4 is going to trade with their dragon or Stonewall it, and then I'll have a 3/3 left over. This card looks good. Looks like a C+. I think this looks good. I think green is doing what I was hoping it would do. I think there's plenty of early stuff to do, and then some good cards to up the mana curve a little bit more, but a lot of early cards in green that looked very serviceable, very playable to get you to the spot where you can play all your powerful gold uncommons and commons, and of course your rare bombs. All right, we're going to wrap it up real quick with our colorless cards and be done with the commons and uncommons. So we have the gain lands, of course, with some new art, which looks nice. Gain lands, these are very good. You're going to be picking them more often than not, so you're going to want your mana fixing. Evolving Wilds, also in the format, so even more mana fixing. And then, of course, your uncommon tap lands, your tri lands. These always ETB tapped. And noticeably, like, these cards, having this be just the dual land is great. Like, if you're not playing the third color, doesn't matter. Like, these are still very, very serviceable, very useful in this type of format. So don't overlook getting these just as your simple dual lands. Like, yeah, in that case, they don't gain you life. So what? Like, it's still good. What else do we have? Most of what we have in colorless is fixing. So we have Embermouth Sentinel, 2-drop Chimera artifact creature, 2/1. ETB, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top. If you control a dragon, put that card onto the battlefield tapped instead. Okay, well, that's nice. Granted, all the dragons are like late drops, so you're getting, this is just like, okay, basically it just doesn't punish you for drawing it at the late game. This is what that bailout clause does. Like, well, you drew this. Typically, you know, when you draw this card later in the game, this type of effect, you don't want to put a land on top of your deck, so you just deny. You say, I'm not going to do that, right? Because it's a May ability. Or in this case, it says, yeah, still go get your land and just put it on the battlefield tapped. So whatever. This card is very filler level, very much. You're not going to want to play these very often. C minus, like whatever, D plus, not very good. But enough said. We have a series or cycle of monuments for each clan. We have the Abzan monument. So all of these are 2-drop artifacts, and they all do the same thing. They ETB and they go grab a basic land of the clan's type. So for Abzan, basic plains, basic swamp, basic forest. And you put it into your hand. So 2 mana to go get yourself a land, a basic land to fix your mana. Is that good? No. Is it necessary evil sometimes? Yes. So all of these also have a buyout because by themselves we wouldn't see play. But you know, when you're making a 3-color set, you want the 3 colors to work. You want to have people to be able to fix their mana. So they added, you want to make sure that you can play cards that let you fix your mana that aren't just total stinkers. So these all have a buyout that do different things. They're all on theme. In this case, what do we have? We have 1 Abzan colors, so for 4 total mana, tap, sacrifice, create an XX white spirit creature token where X is the greatest toughness among creatures you control. Activate as a sorcery. Okay, that's really good. That's really good. Worst case, you're getting like a 4 mana 4/4 in something that already got you a land and fixed your mana. Abzan's all about toughness and having big butts. So if this gets you a land and then later gets you a 4 mana 4/4, great. If it gets you a 5/5 or a 6/6, like even obviously that's better. So I'd say this one looks good. Really it's just a matter of, with all of these, it's the same. They all do the same thing and it's the same evaluation. If the format is slow enough where you can play the front half, then that's great. And then you have a nice buyout on the back half. And in this case, the buyout is great. That's a really good thing to do. And feels like a true 2-for-1. The Jeskai Monument, you pay 1 and Jeskai, 4 total mana. You sacrifice it and you get 2 1/1 white bird creature tokens with flying. Activate as a sorcery. 2 1/1 flyers for 4 mana. That one feels less good than one big fatty on the ground. Like maybe if this wasn't a dragon set, I'd be more excited about this. This one I feel like is less good. Mardu Monument, the buyout is 2 Mardu mana. Tap, sacrifice, create 3 1/1 red creature warrior tokens. They gain menace and haste until end of turn. Okay, so these don't sacrifice, and they gain menace and haste. So that ability seems really good. I don't think you're going to be wanting to play in this card in Mardu just because of the nature of what Mardu's trying to do. Like the last thing you want to be doing is spending 2 mana to go get yourself a land to fix your mana in Mardu. Like you want a really light splash for your third color just so you can play your gold bombs, and you want this to be a 2-color deck. And then you only want to be playing tap lands to be playing slightly off curve. And sometimes you're playing off curve anyway because you have a lot of 2-drops, and on turn 3 you want to play another 2-drop anyway. So and then last you can play your tap land. I don't think you want to be playing this in Mardu. That being said, if you end up finding yourself playing this card for whatever reason, getting 3 1/1s that have haste and menace is like definitely not nothing. It can help push through some damage. Like they're not going to be blocking those. And then they stick around. They lose menace and haste, but still. Yeah. Sultai, pay 2 and Sultai mana, and you get 2/2/2 black zombie druid creature tokens. So for 5 mana, you get 2 2/2s. Kind of expensive for that. Feels like you're going to be having plenty of things to be doing with your mana in Sultai that's better than this. But I don't know. I mean, it lets you, whatever. It still gives you something. So this one is definitely leaning more towards if you want the first half of the monument, great. And the second half of the buyout is serviceable. Teamer Monument, pay 3 and Teamer mana, and you get a 5/5 elephant creature token. Okay, so that's interesting. 6 mana for a 5/5 on a card that already went and got you a land is good. This makes me think the Abzan one is the best of them all, because that could easily be a 4 mana 5/5 or 4 mana 6/6. Not always. There's some setup cost. I get that. But by the time you're doing this anyway, there's you probably have a good card. So this one seems good, like a 6 mana 5/5. There are worse things to be complaining about in your 2-for-1 scenario. Watcher of the Wayside, 3 artifact creature golem, 3/2 common 3/2. ETB, target player mills 2 cards, you gain 2 life. Okay, so filler, like by definition filler, but a 3 mana 3/2 that mills 2, and then you gain 2 life. Notice it's target player, and again, in like random scenarios, you're going to top deck this late, and you guys are both like, this game's not going anywhere. You're trying to mill your opponent out, and it helps you do that, so you can deck your opponent. But and then you gain 2 life. Like that's where this really appeals to me more, is that usually you're going to self-mill. So this is a serviceable card. It does kind of a little bit of everything. Mediocre body, mills a couple of cards, gains a couple of points of life. So, like by definition, filler. Jade Cast Sentinel, 4 generic, 1 ape snake artifact creature. That's cool. 1/5 reach. Okay, so 4 mana for 1/5 reach. Pay 2, tap, target, put target card from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. You can play pretty much any other 4-drop and be better off, but this is a card. It doesn't do anything. Like, you might not lose because you put this card in your deck, but you're not going to win because you put this card in your deck. So, yeah, whatever. It's just like, it does have some graveyard hate, I guess. Like, it's serviceable. D plus. Like, sometimes you're gonna put this card in your deck and it's gonna work out. And that does it for the set. So this looks awesome. These are all the commons and uncommons. I'll do one more video of the rares and mythics. Hope you guys enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun for me. My voice is completely gone and my throat is sore, but this was a lot of talking, but this was a lot of fun. I'm really excited about this set. I'm amped. I think that I'm most excited for Teamer and Sultai and Abzan. Big surprise there. I do think Mardu is going to be good, and it feels like what I said before is that the aggro decks need to be respected but not feared. And if that's the case, then we're looking at a great format. Because as much as I love durdling around and everyone, being able to having slow formats, it is kind of miserable when it gets to if you don't have the fun police. Like the first week or two of a format, that's really fun. By weeks 3 and 4, if you're just like, all right, buckle up, here comes another 12 turn, 15-minute best of one match, like, it gets old. Okay, it gets old. So if that's the case and they balance this format just perfectly, where you have these good, you can do the grindy thing, but you also have a little bit of the fun police there. You got to respect the aggro decks. It looks like that, because the aggro deck does look really good, but it looks like there are tools to deal with it. That as long as you respect and play, have a respectful mana curve, and you're playing some cards that let you have the early interaction and the incidental life gain, you're going to be fine against the aggro decks. You're not going to panic, but it's going to be strong enough to prevent us all from just going nonsense and just playing, don't even play 1 drop or 2 drops, just play 3 drops and above, and your tap lands in the first couple of turns. So that's fun, again, for not very long. And then overall, Jeskai, I'm very skeptical on Jeskai. That I just think it I've seen this type of thing enough. We've seen this in enough formats where when every card feels underwhelming and every card feels like well, maybe, and it requires an asterisk and a disclaimer, those just don't work out. That being said, the redeeming grace for those decks is usually you're the only drafter of that archetype at a table, and that being the case, you're getting everything you want. You are getting the key pieces, which is necessary for those decks to come together. And then you can be the only Jeskai drafter and turn out with a really good deck. So that's definitely possible if the pieces are actually good. Sometimes you even have the case where even you're the only drafter of that archetype and you still just get a stinker of a deck. So that could be the case with Jeskai. I'm skeptical. Sorry for my Jeskai fans out there. One of my greatest friends, Magic friends, is a huge Jeskai lover. I'm skeptical, but I could be wrong. We'll see. Anyway, excited for this set. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm curious what you think is going to be the best clan. I would love to see that in the comments and why you think so. Till next time, take it easy.